Yeah, I brought the thing. I'm just sorting myself out now. Cat, get out of the way. I'm pouring bad drinks.
There's no such thing as bad drinks, just undrunk drinks.
I mean, there are bad drinks.
That's the lowest standard thing you could possibly have said, yeah, Nicholas.
Are you disappointed or proud?
Everyone read the dossier.
I've read the dossier.
Wait, there's a dossier again? What? It's been like 4 weeks. You can't spring this on me.
Huh?
I'm not prepared.
Honestly,
I can, with my own personal brand of exceptional diligence and also laziness.
I decided to
Hey, it's
shotgun
7-11.
command.
That is not enough time.
I'm shotgun in command of the honor guards because it
I
doesn't
don't feel
have commander
comfortable with
assigned.
this.
Can I shotgun command of the scavengers for those brains, please?
No.
I mean, to make sure that our honourable brothers are buried correctly. Not that there are any. Just
Again,
make sure.
no, that's the job of the Apothecarium, and B, if we catch you eating Eldar brains, we will have to shoot you.
It's fine, it's fine, it's fine.
he has at this point gotten away with eating Eldar brains.
I
So
believe
you
I believe the apothecary is helping.
So Ewan,
Yes.
have you thought of what quality I can consider my cybernetics stuff?
Whatever quality they were at before.
Well, I had some new ones for my legs, I think. Or did I lose my legs before? I can't really remember.
I guess they'd probably be normal.
Sure.
Oh, it's the Great Crusade. You want to call a whole sec? Let me get the thing up. Call me odds or evens.
You want the good shit?
Evens, please.
Odds, they're normal, I'm afraid.
You thought to the odds
Sorry.
It is what happens. You did ask for that.
I also found in the general cybernetic rules, the robust constructions of cybernetics adds 2 to the owner's toughness bonus after unnatural toughness in the relevant location.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, that's in Dark Heresy 2E as well, for the record.
I think it's only limbs in that. This one just says cybernetics.
It's any location, any situation where you have cybernetics that enhance a specific location. And a lot of them, if it's questionable, will mention it. Like a cybernetic heart gives you +1, +2 to your soak in...
Yeah, that one mentions it explicitly,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, well, exactly. It mentions it because it's quarrelsome, whereas like
right,
limbs
I
and
see.
such do the same thing.
They also
What about my
they
two
also give
eyes?
bonuses to other stuff.
I don't think you get shot in the eye much, is the thing.
No, yeah, it's quite fair.
They're also, like, by the standards, they're pretty delicate equipment.
Sure.
Just making sure that I've got all of the...
Culture eating brains.
Yeah, I think I've got all of the notes.
Arguably not a culture, more
Not a
like
culture.
a war crime.
It's not a war crime, it's built into us. We are designed to eat people's brains.
Doesn't mean it's
Yes,
not a war
and
crime.
yes, and by every standards of humanity at this point, Space Marines are walking war crimes.
Ah, well, we do what we must. It's fine.
That doesn't make you know that doesn't make it better.
You know how that's a bad
It's the
thing,
fu-
right, Nick?
it's
You
the-
know.
I'm sorry, it's the 40th millennium. Who
Yes,
cares
yes.
what's right and wrong, my friend?
Barely the
It's what you do.
31st millennium, for the record.
I know it's
tomato,
fast,
tomato, potato,
but equally-
tomato.
So, let's start the session, shall we? Fresh from the sadly disastrous slog that was the Halakan campaign, in which, if you will recall, you were all winning, and then Brother Captain Coayah, attempting a bold and daring maneuver, hoping to finish the campaign at a stroke, unfortunately lost the proverbial dice toss.
Oh god, yeah. Craftlaw stuff, right?
Indeed.
We know who we blame for this. We know who we blame for this disaster. We
The
blame the Space Wolves because they quit the field before the campaign was done, thus
Oh,
exposing us to a lack of men and material.
Well, they didn't quit the field, technically speaking. They
refused to fight alongside us.
Yeah,
They quit the field.
that is how
So
you
long
tell
as we put out enough propaganda and make everyone else believe it, then that's all that matters.
has more or less been Benji's strategy here, helped by the fact that like nearly the entire Imperial Army detachment with the Space Wolves, abandoned them in order to join up with Coayah's troops instead. Dark times when you look at the murder and go, yes, my employment prospects will improve with these people.
On the note of dark times, like, I'm suddenly just thinking of ordering from a different place because they've spelt swap with an O.
I hope my facial expression conveys my level of fear.
There's a sentient bag here.
Oh, that's cat, mate.
Like, I don't know. Like, I just think proper spelling. Like, come on.
It's true.
Wouldn't that make them the swoop?
So, it's been a couple of years since Halakar. Not even a couple of years, actually. Sorry, my bad, because it dragged on for a few more years. It would have been a couple of years, but no. With that last disastrous attack on the craft world, you were pushed back a couple of sectors, extending the fight outwards, forcing you to drag in more and more and more troops. The only real silver light, with also mass starvation following amongst the populace due to the immense war and the inability of immense extra amounts of war and the inability of Imperial forces to actually set up some kind of reasonable administration. In the end, you did drive the Eldar off, causing enough damage and risking enough potential future damage to them that they just quit the sector. Well, the now sector. But not without significant losses. The only silver lining being that Coayah's improvised Grand Company has absorbed plenty of other lesser companies to it, meaning that you now have, numbers are a bit unsure, somewhere between 800 and maybe 1,200, 1,500 Marines scattered throughout a ragtag fleet, which you do not have firm accounting of, and you have no ability to stop and really get a clear picture on. As you have been ordered to the Wraithling stars, made up of two subsectors, Ibn Thomari and Zagrani. The Wraithling stars are comparatively fairly dim, an expanse recently tamed into two separate sectors on either side of a divide. A single warp route leading through two titanic warp storms which seem to rage ever onwards, completely uncaring that Old Night is theoretically at an end.
Oh no, we've got New Night now.
I don't know what you mean. This is an age of science and progress, reason and humanity. There are no thirsting gods here. Heresy is an unknown term.
I mean, I just said New Night because, it seems like the storms haven't abated. But now I'm getting whispers of
The Emperor brings his light, and we carry it with us.
I like to overindulge in brain eating.
You are the cause of the warp storms.
This area has already been pacified.
Oh.
You have, however, been instructed to come here on extremely urgent business, as it has been pacified and is currently under a mysterious attack. Aliens identified in Imperial databases only as the Akhereth, a strange mushroom people.
Oh.
Fungoids.
Oh.
Oh.
I have a history with fungoids.
Not going
Black Crusade.
anywhere near that. I don't remember.
Yeah, do you remember old Shroomius?
Oh, Shroomius! Yeah, he lived in your testicles for a while, didn't he?
He lived in John's testicles.
He lived in someone's testicles.
Not surprised.
Anywho,
I'll take a giant step back.
fungoids have been drinking entire Imperial worlds dry, one slurp of bone marrow at a time, leaving entire solar systems filled with naught but rotting husks. The Martian Mechanicum alone seems immune, and even then they suffer as the worlds around them sicken, wither, and die. Expeditionary fleets are scheduled to start pushing into Segmentum Obscurus, or what will hopefully be Segmentum Obscurus, soon. And only by the complete xenocide of this hostile alien race can the lines be secured and the Great Crusade stopped from stalling. You have been given the task of xenociding the Akereth, annihilating them utterly. You have 4 objectives. 2 prime. 1. Find the source of the Akereth and expunge it. 2. Do not lose more than 10 systems to the alien assault. You will note the currently extant dead systems on the map as greyish circles.
Can I just clarify, how do I put this? You specified not to lose the systems to the alien assault. I just want to clarify, is that just systems lost overall? Or specifically to them?
Overall, technically speaking, but if you fuck up badly enough that you get other reasons to lose systems, entire systems, other than the bone marrow slurping aliens, I think that probably does count against you.
I mean, if we just exterminatus Hesperiid,
we are not allowed.
No one is allowed to exterminatus at this point, other than the Emperor and the only the only currently found Primarch, who is Horus.
What if we just nudge an asteroid into
Codies
the direction?
Are allowed in the most dire of circumstances, but it's got to be like...
As far as I'm aware, that remains pure theory. The Custodies do not exterminatus anywhere until after the Heresy.
I think it's one of those ones that if they found a full demon world, they would have to destroy it. But but it hasn't come up, and canonically it either doesn't or it doesn't in a way that anyone finds out about it. Because the first the point is we're not allowed.
Yeah, the first time that a human just blows up a world claiming I have the authority to do this, it is a big deal.
Respect authority. How about we just nudge an asteroid into the direction of Hesperiid?
That is still exterminatus.
Well, what if just the ship accidentally knocks into an asteroid? It happens in space.
Sorry, why are you trying to bomb your own worlds?
Well,
No, I don't. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, just spitballing tactics, I guess.
Yeah.
So, other objectives. Secondary. Your usuals. Recover any exotic technology for the Mechanicum and Sensia areas tainted by Xenos. Where area is generally more specific than the world, or indeed the system.
What was that last one again, sorry?
Area is basically Sensia anything tainted by Xenos, but don't kill a planet to do it. Like, we don't have the authority to do that kind of shit.
Using our famous subtlety, we shall try our best.
Do the currently lost planets count in R10?
They do not.
Okay.
Cool. So there's nothing near us right now, then. Can we see their fleet?
Sorry?
Can we see their fleets?
No, they're attacking by ambush. There's a clear pattern, at least for the places currently listed on the map. They've been working their way deeper and deeper into the Ratling stars, but not in a necessarily ordered fashion. Tiguantis fell first, for instance, despite being further in. You currently start in system in Gazva, a civilized world in the Zagrani sector, Corward Ratling subsector. Oh, sorry, I said subsectors earlier. The sectors are Ibn Famari and Zagrani. The subsectors are Corward Ratling and Rimwood Ratling.
Cool. Is the entire party with us? Or do we have to go around picking up people?
No, you can consider yourselves to all be on the same ship. You're currently on the Obsidian Heart. It's seen better days, but it has also been sort of expanded and retrofitted and had things grafted to it. It resembles nothing so much as a man-made space Hulk at this point, where the ship itself is such a work of salvage. Something that the armsmen and ratings involved on the ship seem to take to with ridiculous enthusiasm.
It's a good thing we will have Terminator armor. Do we have Terminator armor now?
You have recently been issued with Terminator armor.
Ooh.
In fact, as we are officially Campaign 3, not only have you recently been issued with Terminator armor, but other legions have officially formed their Librariuses. I will leave it up to Nazeem whether or not he wishes to have outed himself as a Psyker yet.
I'm the librarian, aren't I? Yes.
You are the librarian, but remember, that's not actually your official title. Librarian was a mocking nickname people gave you because your assigned area was the library.
The irony.
Other institutions have been formed calling themselves librariuses, but librarian is almost synonymous with nerd in your local culture. You may also have taken the word back, though, in a yes, I am a nerd. Phenomenal cosmic power. Mind.
Yep. And Nazeem started off with knowledge, and he shall end with knowledge, just in the form of your fucking brain. Yes.
Nerd.
Difficult to call him nerd when he's eating human brains with a pair of chopsticks.
He's sucking pieces of brain off the end of his fingers and being like, call me what?
What was that? Just mouthful of gore. Just.
Still,
nerd, said the man.
There's a corner of our librarian just dedicated to how to cook brains.
Terrifying concept.
Just raw, sushi, just sushi brains.
Okay,
God.
So
you can't be doing this openly, right?
Who's to stop him?
He's got a secret door. It's fine.
Me,
I was going to say,
me.
yeah, because he's one of the 5 highest people in the fleet, arguably 5th highest.
Well, we basically have a space hulk, and there's all sorts of hiding holes. It's fine.
Yeah, but you said openly, young Nicholas. You've been getting away with this in private for years.
It's one of those known secrets, though, right?
To the extent that your Grand Captain literally knows you're doing, or doesn't know, but 100% obviously suspect knows.
Mm-hmm. He's always trying to find out. It's can never find any evidence.
No, he's very conspicuously not trying to find out, because if he did, he would probably find out, and as long as he doesn't officially know...
I was thinking plausible deniability, right?
Plausible deniability is the phrase I would use.
Cool. Seeing as we are... Do we have the Terminator suit launchers as well?
Sorry, young Nicholas, you're echoing for the record. Yes, you can consider yourself to have received at least a couple of them experimentally.
Amazing.
Who's in it?
It's a battle. Eat us. Eat us far and proud.
How many Terminator suits we got? Are the command crew all Terminator suited up? Can I start adding the rules?
Yes, you may consider the entire command crew and your attached squads to be Terminators.
I am going to say that I don't have Terminator armor because I'm going to stick with Artificer armor because I'm a captain and I can do that kind of stuff.
You can reserve a suit for yourself, for the record.
I mean, yeah, can't we just have 2 suits?
It is the 31st millennium. You 100% can have a suit of Terminator armor that you are not currently using. In fact, not only is it the 31st millennium, but even though Terminator armor is still, and will be for the rest of the Great Crusade, quite scarce, part of that is, if you'll recall, because a good deal of it is being earmarked for your legion inherently. So...
Very true.
Even though you're a ragtag grouping of survivor units forged together into a grand company, with grand company in big fucking air quotes, you still have markedly more suits of Terminator armor than, if I'm being honest here, most of the minor legions individually in total.
Could I just have it noted that for my battle yoga group, I want to get some specific Terminator armor mobility sessions to help people get accustomed to it and train with it and things like that.
If you'll recall, at the moment your battle yoga group is almost entirely non-Astartes.
Yeah, that's why I want to promote this to get people into oh wait, I can try out Terminator armor if I join this group. Yeah.
So you can wear Terminator armor as a human, but you need human adapted Terminator armor?
I mean for Astartes.
Oh, for Astartes. Oh, I'm following you now.
I'm trying to appeal to them.
Okay, fair.
No,
I
have actually in a note in the organisation part of my dossier where I basically said, this is where we will put the Terminators for line breakers, because we have a lot of them, but we're not just throwing them out like candy.
Well, that's a matter of firm opinion from the Grand Captain.
What's the page for Terminator armor?
165.
Thank you.
You best believe I'm already on it.
Yeah,
believe it.
Damn it.
Ollie, I was so sure you'd already be on it that I literally have a note saying Ollie is in command of the Terminator squad.
On a carb on it. Yeah, can you just fill in my character sheet for me? Okay, thanks.
No. No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Please?
No.
Okay,
You may
you need
consider.
screenshot the page so I don't have to... Sorry.
You may consider the 5 of yourselves to be stood atop the bridge, the strategium, in fact, of the Obsidian Heart, along with primary iterator Zabo Glenn Harris, your attached diplomatic expert for the fleet.
What's up, Glenn?
He stares at the 5 of you. Gives.
Oh, Jake. Why are you just staring like that?
God damn it. Sorry, Carl, you've put Grand Apothecary and Primus as your fucking title, but it's so long that it obscures the name on your character sheet.
That's amazing. I love it.
It just makes it difficult to tell who the fuck you are. Kuzco, right, I remember names. God damn it. So, he sort of gives Kuzco a friendly wave. Kuzco, with whom he is apparently intimately familiar. May I ask what our strategy is?
Well, first, of course, now we have arrived, I will have to convene the Command Council.
You may consider
From
this
there,
to be the council being convened. If there's anyone you'd like to see show up, then I can...
Well, there's a whole bunch of NPCs I put in as on the Command Council, because obviously we wouldn't command 1,000 Marines as 5 people.
Yes, you'll have like assorted minor Astartes scattered around. I'm not going to give them all names. That'll get very confusing very quickly.
This, as you saw on my dossier, I literally put insert name here.
You put a lot of things on your dossier. I did read it, but I also think it's only been 6 months, so this is quite a new formation. You've basically had the travel time here, and for a lot of that, your guys have been like scattered throughout different ships.
Fair.
Some of them like linking up with you on the way. Yes, sorry.
So, I would like to... in that case, I think we should call upon Librarian Primus Nazeem. Clearly these foul dino must have some kind of pattern to their attacks. We need to discover it, and what it is they want from each world, why certain worlds were attacked before the others, before we can formulate a strategy to destroy them. That will be your turn. As soon as possible, we must have that information.
Strategy to kill Xenos. I'm on it.
As for everybody else, the overall objective for the rest of us, but primarily Technomat Primus Coatlmox and Grand Apothecary Primus Coayah, Kuzco, must be to determine a weapon that can easily dismantle these fiends. Obviously, the bolters and chainswords provided to us by the glorious Mechanicum of Mars are strong enough to lay any foe low, but not finding out the specific weaknesses of this foul Xenos race would be a full variant.
Well, I suggest we start with fire. Come on. What's your title, sorry, now? What do I call them?
You have... just call me Tribune.
Tribune.
Yes. As I say, you have full operational freedom to develop any kind of weapon you think best to destroy the foul thing.
Tribune, do we currently have any biological samples of these creatures?
That was going to be mine and Perfectus Primus Macuiltotec's job. Meeting with the various envoys of the worlds attacked, rather not from the worlds attacked, but the various envoys of the worlds, the sector representatives, to determine what information they have, what forces they have remaining, and any other information that might be pertinent to our fight.
I request a viable biological sample so as to focus on biological weaponry to face these particular foes.
That will be our first port of call, brother.
Gratitude.
I do not need to remind you, gentlemen, that after Hilikan, the eyes of the Imperium are on us. We will be questioned as a legion, not nearly as much as the Sixth, but against those legions whose record now stands far above us, and especially as the blessed Primarchs have started to be recovered. Mistakes cannot be afforded. We must prove ourselves to be better than the rest. Are there any questions?
My Havoc squads will be more than happy to also perform some exploratory battles if we wish to gather data.
Your navigator for the Obsidian Heart throws up her hand.
Honored Navigator. Feel free to speak.
Where are we heading?
I defer to the knowledge gathered by Librarian Primus Nazeem as to the sector governance of this world, where we might gain the most information. I presume Nazeem would have all this information gathered, given he's a big fat nerd.
I roll law. I've got Forbidden Law Xenos.
Let's have a look at your sheet.
I don't think it would be Forbidden Law Xenos. I think you would know. But I'm asking you, because narratively you would be the one to know the information. Because I would have given you the information after receiving it from Imperial Command.
They're mushroom people. They've killed...
No, Nick, I think the sector the governing planet of the sector is what Benji's asking for.
Oh, Lord. What's that?
Oh,
I'm asking narratively, but Ewan is the one who needs to tell us.
Yeah. Sorry, if you're looking for
I see.
governing worlds, so you don't have either sector capital on map. Gorgon is the subsector capital for Zagrani, and Fernandia is the subsector capital for Ibn Famari.
Fernandia.
Yeah.
And the military centres for both, would they be the same, or would they be different?
Have a look. Depends what you want out of your military. So Albadur and Ferdinandia work in concert for the Rimwood Wraithling subsector. Essentially, Ferdinandia provides the arms and armour, and Albadur, as a civilized world as opposed to an industrial world, provides the majority of the populace. Ghoul and Polder feed the two of them.
It's more looking for people who have fought these things and lived to tell the tale, because obviously then they can be interrogated by, or rather queried by, our excellent Chief Apothecary.
Akareth currently... Well, I don't know if I'd say he's a technomat. The Akareth currently have an almost unprecedented 100% fatality rate. They are known almost exclusively through astropathic transmissions and recordings retrieved from data tombs and other assorted mechanical paraphernalia after the fact.
See, I was going to ask Nazeem. Nazeem, would you be able to gather information on perhaps the history of their name? And maybe we might be able to glean information not otherwise known based on tracking down the origin of said name.
The name comes from a specific rogue trader house operating in the area, that was operating in the area. Basically, they blazed the initial trail through that was then followed by Imperial forces. They claim to have picked it up from alien mercenaries hired.
Mm-hmm.
So it is...
Do you reckon there's more information we could gather from them if we can still contact the rogue trader community? Or are they...
Hypothetically, they might be able to offer you some more, but they are, at this point, entire sectors away, so any reply that reaches you is going to take probably a few months at the very least.
Okay.
Not that you won't be here for a few months, so if you've got questions, you can probably still send them, but you'd need to have pertinent questions and you want to send them soon.
I reckon I would like to send out a message then asking... Did you ever come across any weapons that were known to harm them or able to easily destroy them?
You do have access to the initial reports, which mostly speak of them as a sort of an evil legend or boogeyman. They were essentially dismissed out of hand in the initial run-through. The dead worlds that they supposedly leave in their wake were not found when people were running through this sector, running through either of these sectors, in fact. And their legendary ability to leave literally no survivors sounded far-fetched in the extreme.
I wonder if maybe one of our first ports of call should be gathering a live specimen. But then I guess the issue is if they're mushroom people, they reproduce by spores. And I don't know if this is meta or not, because I think it's probably a fair conjuncture to make. It would be dangerous to have a spore creature on board. Maybe it might be worth going to one of the dead worlds and seeing if
Mushroom is an extremely broad class. They probably reproduce via spores, but it's like when saying something is a lizard. As it's an alien, it's almost a functionally meaningless
Holy
class.
shit. I just realised the Firebird is perfect, literally perfect for this.
Okay. And did you say earlier there'd been some Mechanicus survivors?
I really hate it when young Nicholas is unintentionally extremely correct.
But
I
campaigns in a row?
God damn it. Someone smack him. Sorry, what was that, Creed?
Did you say there were some Mechanicus survivors?
I didn't say there were Mechanicus survivors. I said that so it's Mechanicus institutions that seem to survive the most intact. Essentially, the sort of main source of information on them at the moment is... If you imagine the Magi don't survive, and most of the servitors don't survive, but it's difficult to get everything, in a Mechanicum base that's determined to pull through. So there are some recordings and things of them where they've been slaved to repositories that are not made of biological matter. There is also, at the exact junction between the Zagrani sector and the Ibn Famari sector, let me find the name of it. The Omnicantic Protectorate, a direct vassal to Mars. This system, with the forge world of Omnicantis at its heart, is not part of the Zagrani sector, it is not part of the Ibn Famari sector, and it is somewhat dissatisfied nowadays with its current status. It was used to intermittent contact with Mars, but in the last 10 years, intermittent has been demolished in favour of direct and immediate and heavily ramping up imperial demands. Omnicantus is regarded as a somewhat obstinate forge world, as are the other worlds in its system, Orb and Labash.
So maybe we should go to, maybe it'd be worth going to one of the, leftover Mars worlds and seeing if we can maybe glean any more information from us and bring along a Mechanicus, not entourage. I suppose it's also technically correct. But, let's see.
A Mechanicum envoy?
Yeah.
I disagree, brother.
Yep.
I say we should move straight to the heart of the Imperial governments, either Ferdinandia or, start off at Gorgon, then move to Ferdinandia. Starting off at Gorgon mostly because it's close to us.
We can retcon it that you started at Gorgon rather than Gazva if you'd prefer.
To be fair, that would make sense. But basically, make it very clear to sector governments that we are here to take charge of the local defence, and that all resources will be made available to us, so we can have a far greater force to marshal and to command the actual military of this sector ourselves, rather than relying on them.
Oh, right back.
Also, it allows us far greater access to sector records.
Would you like to have had a member of Gorgon's subsector government at the Strategium meeting?
No, I figured this was us going to basically say, right, we're going in, we're going to tell them what's what. I figured we'd want to do that in roleplay terms.
Yeah.
I found a picked capture of Mechanicus. What happens to them after they hit after they get hit by the mushrooms? I think it was very accurate.
God damn it.
You're a bad person, Ollie, and I want you to know
that. Do we have... How much do we know about orcs right now? How relevant are orcs in...
Orcs have been fought quite a bit at this point. In fact, at this stage, they have, on at least one occasion, Imperial propaganda has either completely suppressed this or lionized it and made a virtue of it. They've almost killed the Emperor, and he's only been saved by Horus's quick and timely intervention, and then the exact...
I think they lionized it.
It's as far as I'm aware, it's murky. Oh, sorry, no, it's the Emperor saves Horus from orcs, and then Horus saves the Emperor from orcs in a hilarious buddy cop back-to-back action sequence.
Yeah, I think it's one of those ones where they lionize it just because it's look, Horus, the new hero, is already saving the Emperor.
So, what were we doing in Gorgon and Ferdinandi again?
Basically, those are sector captains.
Yeah,
and
subsector.
Subsector captains. Basically, they will have most access to sector records, overall command of local PDF defense forces, if there are any, and generally contain the governance of the sector. Thus, when we march in and politely take military control, we will be able to use the infrastructure and bureaucracy there to marshal the overall defense plan across the entire sector rather than just relying on ourselves.
Cool. In which case then, shall we drop down into Gorgon then?
Yes, I think we should. Who wants to come?
I'll do it.
One other question before we do. Have we had any word of how they've been travelling, cross-planet?
The picked captures that you have seem to indicate surprisingly mechanical spaceships.
I'll come down as well.
What's that here? Another diplomatic incident. We're gonna have
Kind of disappointed they don't just hurl rocks with their spores out into space. Presuming that they would use spores.
They're doing the Starship Troopers method.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I watched it the other day.
Also, orcs do that in literally this fucking setting, Ollie.
I mean, they are plant-based, right? So
I wasn't the one who suggested that.
So
yeah, Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie.
Yeah, Ollie.
You wank stain.
Whoa, big words coming from a bigger wank stain.
Were you about to say big words coming from a big wank?
Yeah.
So, who was that? That was, sorry, not Ferdinand. Oh, that was literally everyone. Yeah, okay. So the entire command squad. And it's at this point that, as you're leaving the Strategium, Manabi Virith pipes up. God, I've got to do my fucking Dunmer voice. I was about to go into Dawn of War 1 Winter Assault era Admech.
Matsera, I would also like to accompany you to this world.
Of course, honoured Majors.
Manabi preens. Shoots a slightly condescending look at Nazeem, and then
roll my eyes big time.
Demoted says what?
Hey, I don't give a shit.
I'll be in Terminator armor if I'm not already.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Terminator armor as well. Oh,
same here.
I did have a question.
You know what? I was expecting you all to be in Terminator. I'm going to put on my pimp suit.
So
after last time when we had no armor and the admech through a hissy fit, let's not do that again.
So it says in the Terminator rules, Terminator compatible weapons, any combi weapon, power weapon, force weapon, storm bolter, storm shield, heavy flamer, assault cannon, or cyclone missile launcher. I guess any combi weapon covers any other weapon other than the ones mentioned there, as long as it has.
No.
Are we doing anything?
A combi weapon is a specific thing. You can use any other pattern of heavy weapon, just tack on a -20 or something for the difficulty, basically. It's not adapted for your frame.
See.
Terminators have their own heavy weapons that they can use. Or you can get a gun adapted for Terminator usage also. But in that case, it then won't work you could still then use it with ordinary armor, but you'll have the same difficulties, but in reverse.
Yeah, that's fair. Can I have my Havoc squad then have their earthquake cannon, their site, whatever it was?
It's only been 6 months. I think it's probably an ongoing process trying to figure out, especially as you have an ultra-conservative member of the Mechanicum as your fleet adjutant.
Yeah, true.
It's going to
we do get all the best bits, and he loves us for that, but he hates us for everything else.
Yeah. I would say, by next campaign, we can assume it's been figured out by default. This campaign, I'm not saying you can't rush it if you really want to, but it'd be a bit more dicey, and you might have to, politic it through a bit more, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the entire command squad is going down, I would like to summon the honor guard. I presume we've set up a proper honor guard in the times in Silicon. Like 2.
Is there anyone you trust to be in it?
The ones who aren't in the murder.
Tactical squad it is. I think, to be fair, by the end of the interim session, we did say it was more like tactical company. As the assorted people who weren't in their own equivalent murders gravitated towards tactical squad, this little shining beacon of sanity, rationality, honor, and actual tactics in the skin-soaked nightmare realm that is your forces on the battlefield otherwise.
I just want to point out real quick that the Astartes combi weapon, as noted in the rules, is just 2 different weapons that have been combined into one firearm. So, as long as we have a combi X or a combi Y or a combi Z, that should be fine to be a fixed Terminator armor, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, but it's not just like a combi grav cannon. You would have a combi grav gun.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, like a combi melter gun or a combi plasma gun. Profile, yeah.
Those are specific guns. Generally, the way a combi gun works, I'm not sure about the exact... I know the tabletop rules, because they're ye olde Chaos weapons, and 3.5e Chaos was my fucking jam. I don't know what the exact tabletop RPG rules are for them, but it used to be that it's essentially a twin-linked bolter with one shot of a different gun type, e.g. plasma, melter. Grav didn't really... It did exist, but it wasn't used at the time. So combi, melter, plasma, flamer, that type of thing.
I don't think they're linked in this one. I think you just fire one or the other. It is one.
Yeah, they're not twin linked. Yeah, the only thing is that it's a... it's literally just a bolt gun with or it's typically use a bolt gun as the primary weapon with one shot secondary weapon slung under the barrel. So it's typically, I guess you could actually have it be like something else, but I don't know what.
Yeah, generally they're bolters. The concept is thoroughly robust, and you could have a combi gun where the base is Volkite. You could have a combi gun where the base is like stub auto pistols. You can use it for it's any standard gun really, and then an additional one-shot usage of another type on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I miss 3.5e Chaos, I really do. I just want my fucking ridiculously uber-powered Terminators. Sorry, what were you saying, Ollie?
Nothing really.
So, in that case, the 6 of you power on down to the capital of Gorgon. Did it actually have a specific capital? Let me just double check. It did not. Oh, yes, no, it actually does. You don't need to power on down. You can power on across. Gorgon does not hold a capital on the planetary surface. Instead, the void station Lady's Respite hovers in orbit.
Ooh.
Gorgon, as you may note from the map, is in fact, technically speaking, a pleasure world. A favourite haunt of the local imperial nobility, who receive you with immense grace, pomp, and ceremony. To at least some of you, Maundraco's image seems to flash before your eyes as you are confronted with the single largest amount of bunting you have seen in your entire lives.
Oh, Jesus, did Maundraco beat us here?
No, this is a recently compliant area. Gorgon is a pleasure world, and the nobles here are all emigres. This sector was rendered compliant by your legion, and you are welcomed as returning heroes to their new domain. Their leader, who introduces himself as an unimportant well, he doesn't introduce himself as unimportant, but he is an unimportant prince, bows deep and low to each of you in turn, including the Magos adjutant. My lords, how can I serve you?
I think Benji may be in some internet troubles.
I'm still here.
Still here, okay.
Yeah, I came back. Right when the bunting came out.
The best time to return.
Greetings. We have come here to rectify the situation as described by Imperial Command. The attacks on the world within your twin subsector. we understand that this is the centre of administration for this subsector, and as such, we will be taking overall military command of the situation here.
The noble nods vigorously.
Will my lord be wishing to engage in a hunt whilst he is in our space?
I'm afraid I shall have to put such pursuits to one side for now. I am on secondment from, as I say, I'm on secondment from Imperial Command on a mission.
The eyes of my helmet go wide and hopeful like a puppy.
You may recall, Kuzco, from your briefing, that Gorgon hosts a most special prey. The world's incorporation into the Imperium was bloody and brief. The local biomancers put up fierce resistance against the quarrelers attacking them, but were overcome in a matter of hours. Terrified and with no other option, the majority of their surviving number panically transposed their sapients into the world's saurian population and fled into the jungles. This world is considered a pleasure world now for affording a chance to tackle the ultimate game. Man in the body of dinosaur.
There's just a ting as I get a chubby and it smacks against my armour.
I hate to say this, but I feel it's probably cushioned against that.
I mean, the lack of professionalism hurts my soul.
Oh, damn. Apparently there's no overload on the Terminator armour. Force field.
Right. Well, in which case, to minimise the impact on civilian populations, I am giving leave to Brother Nazeem, my Librarian Primus. I am giving leave to him to remain here on planet, to take full control of your bureaucracy, looking for any and all information on these creatures, their attack patterns, and where they might strike next.
My lord, I am afraid, though this is the administrative hub, we are not an especially astute repository of knowledge. I fear you might be better served by Omnicantus's librarians.
That may be true.
Whatever assistance we can render, we shall.
He gestures to several nearby scribes.
Whatever you require, requisition-wise, my lord, shall be yours. The people of this subsector are ignorant, and they must pay their tax to the Imperium for civilizing them.
Can I do a quick scan of the room to see if there's an in-reach souvenir I can just pick up?
There is an especially shiny silver goblet in front of you and slightly to your left.
I'll just pick that up and just hold it at my side, still in my full Terminator.
I am just going to internally be just rolling my eyes completely.
The prince notices that you've picked up the goblet and sort of gestures to several scribes who come towards you with several larger silver goblets.
No, you've got to
take the largest.
These were harvested from the world of Ran.
That's what it is.
Be that as it may, I shall allow the brother to inspect his trinkets. Have you PDF forces upon this world, or any other worlds within this subsector?
The noble strokes at his tentatively wispy goatee.
I'm afraid we do not raise PDF forces from Gorgon as yet, whilst the locals endure in the jungles. Colonization is worthless, and he sort of strokes a large and ornate hunting pistol at his waist. Counterproductive. There are, however, numerous worlds within our dominion which can furnish you with troops. Notably, if you require immense amounts of soldiers, nearly the entire world of Kravask could easily be conscripted. A penal colony. Their troops are yours.
Interesting.
bows low. Of course, if my lord requires better soldiers, I will provide you with whatever writs you require to requisition as many as you need.
I would like to chuckle slightly at him suggesting that I need a writ to do that.
You don't need a writ to do that.
I definitely don't need a writ to do that.
He's just very eager to serve. After all, it's not him paying the tax or having to do the fighting.
Yes. Well, in which case, I shall say that... basically, I want to try a charm roll to make him go away, and just sort of flatter him enough that he buggers off and lets me run the whole thing without getting in the way.
I'm going to say you don't need a charm roll for that. All you have to do is say what you want him to do. He's on your side. And aren't you glad?
In this case, I think that any and all worries about this subsector were completely unfounded, and its administration is going swimmingly. We shall proceed further into the subsector and leave its runnings to you and your able brethren on this world.
The man nods his head. As you require, my lord.
Keep up the good work, and we shall head back to our ships. We will make for, I think we shall make for Omnicantis next, and then Ferdinandia to bring our troops more towards the front lines.
The princeling wrinkles his nose.
Ferdinandia is a barbarous place.
I trust your judgment completely, but they are closer to whatever foul Xeno may be attacking human worlds, and thus our destination. No doubt we would far enjoy the sport here.
The Xenos should have fallen by now. If Ferdinandia would defend their borders correctly, your presence would not be required and your time would not be wasted.
I agree, sir. As that may be, I shall give you leave to return to your hunt. We have our own hunt to deal with.
In the background, Kuzco pontificates quietly within his helmet about the effective combatability of a unit of human-minded dinosaurs.
Oh god. This all over again.
What do you mean all over again? We've never been here before. This is the first time we've seen these things.
I mean, he's not wrong.
I'm getting flashbacks.
Have I done dinosaurs with human minds before?
No, but you've done dinosaurs with crazy humans who want
I've done dinosaurs in all kinds of situations.
Now, I think we should take advantage of every opportunity that comes our way, just because it's worth the experience.
Are you going to try and eat a dinosaur brain?
Now, I didn't say that. But if it comes across my platter, I'm not going to turn down a once-in-a-lifetime cuisine.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say that we are Astartes, and we've got a job to do, and we can't waste our time hunting dinosaurs on a pleasure world for twats. That's out of character.
Can we requisition a specimen?
I just want it noted the absolute hilarity that young Nicholas has made Benji fling the captive in the pot fucking upset with the concept of cannibalism.
I'm sorry. There's cannibalism, and then there's whatever the hell this is.
Hey.
You've done a lot more systemic. Yeah, you've done a lot more systemic cannibalism than he has.
Thank you very much.
3 words: for the Emperor.
It really wasn't. It really wasn't. And past the second,
I'm a space marine. Everything I do is for the Emperor.
I'm not engaging in it. Cool. They do not keep captive specimens. I'm afraid you would need to capture one.
No, I can understand that. They can go out and capture one, though, right?
Not staying to mess around with dinosaurs. We've got.
They can send one to us. We don't have to have it right now. They can send it to us.
Waste time on space base.
No, we don't have to.
Yeah, we just have to tell them, do it for us.
Yeah, we want one, send it over.
Yeah.
That's all we have to do.
Ask them to capture a breeding pair of medium vent-sized dinosaurs.
Yes!
I have a plan.
Exactly! Yes!
Can we get a series of sizes?
Guys, did you know raptors can open doors?
Unfortunately.
I'm going to have
one thing you had going for you with the tigers and the vents is that they couldn't open doors.
They can, and we should totally resist.
I mean, if they're human-minded, they can do a lot of things.
No, exactly, yeah. They're even more dangerous.
The princeling stares at the five of you as you stand in utmost silence, furiously internally voxing over your helmets.
We will be taking our leave now. But rest assured, we are glad that this world is run by such fine, upstanding Imperial citizens as yourself.
The princeling bows deeply.
We definitely have to represent.
Whatever we can do for you, my lord, we shall.
On that note, we request a party to return to the hunting grounds to capture us live specimens of these sapio-minded dinosaurs. We require a series of specimens.
We require a breeding pair and an extra one.
The princeling looks taken aback.
Live, my lord?
Yes.
This is for science, you see.
It shall be difficult, but we shall do it. Breeding pair, I fear, shall not turn you human-level intelligence. Their sapience is derived from the human spirits, the human psyches within their brains.
Indeed, that may be so, but perhaps the parental bond between these creatures may allow for some control. This has yet to be seen.
The princeling bows low again.
So low.
I'm
As
gonna
my
openly
lord
be rubbing my
requires.
What was that?
He's openly rubbing his temples.
Yes. And an extra one for dissection.
Now he's getting greedy.
I shall prepare the tranquilizer.
He gestures at several serfs to prepare the tranquilizer for him.
Just thank you for your time. We're going now.
On Mechanics. I assume we're going to on Mechanics next.
We're getting back on the ship, and I'm giving everyone a right good dressing down.
You are
This takes
slightly...
dinosaur brains. We're in the middle of a professional operation.
Professional operation.
Hey, he said anything.
Like, my mandate for this mission is to prepare potential weaponry, okay?
Exactly.
Is your potential
And if I can
weaponry weaponized dinosaur psycho humans?
Maybe.
I can identify psychers, and we can put their psyches into dinosaurs.
Sorry,
Into
why do
department
you
cooperation.
You know that they're psychers. That's literally in the mission briefing for the planet. It's how... I'm calm. You are slightly delayed by Manabi Verith staying behind longer than... the fleet, rather, not your shuttle. The fleet is delayed by Manabi Verith staying behind longer than he should, as he discusses with the local nobilité about the exact methods of transference and how it might be affected. Eventually, however... Well, I say eventually...
Shadow them. I'll shadow the Majos until he goes back.
There you go. So you're delayed by 2.
I'm having an edict put out across the fleet. If I catch word that a single one of these dinosaurs is anywhere on this fleet, I will have it and any marines found around it spaced.
I'm already, bribing off the fucking landing crew and everything. It's fine.
You see, Benji, what's going to happen is we're going to be in a bit of a sticky situation at some point. There'll be a mushroom on board, and then suddenly, 10th dinosaur comes and saves us.
Perfect defense system, right?
You remember we talked when you were over about how many of my own legion I was going to have to kill?
I vaguely remember the words... everyone, as many as I have to, and then just bloody groaning and phlegm.
More so now.
Oh dear. You ever heard of an inverted decimation, folks?
Now, Benji, how do you think we get the brains on board?
Is that just an implosion style?
Honestly, Nicholas, it hadn't come to me because our mission is not to hunt dinosaurs.
Well, thinking outside the box is what we do best.
Let's be fair here. Strictly speaking, they're humans in the bodies of dinosaurs.
I feel if the person in charge of creating new weapons to kill Xenos and the person in charge of creating tactics to kill Xenos both agree that dinosaurs are a good part.
Young Nicholas,
on dinosaurs.
What are we doing?
We're going to Omnicantis, and I'm going to drop Nazeem on the world to take stock of any and all information that might be contained upon the world, sector records, etc., for any kind of information about these things and their attack patterns. Also, the timeline of when they attacked, the worlds they attacked.
I'm just going to nip to the toilet real quick, I'm afraid. I do want to hear this, but I'm not going to remember it otherwise. I would suggest you discuss your strategy moving forwards.
This is a forge world I want to go to, please, sir.
Yeah, I want to stop along Old Billion.
Well, I presume that Omnicantis will have laboratories and such places where that Carl and Cread might be able to experiment on any and all samples of the mushrooms that we come across. So,
potentially find some more volunteers.
When you servitorize something, you need the brain, don't you? It doesn't have to be whole.
Not especially. It depends what you're doing it for. What?
Just bank those thoughts for now, young Nick. Just worry about it later.
You know where I was going, don't you, Cread?
Don't worry.
What? So are you wanting to servitorize the dinosaurs?
I mean, I eat the brain and then we servitorize the rest of it.
Well, you don't need to servitorize a dinosaur because the reason you make a servitor is so it can carry out complex calculations. If you just wanted to make a giant mechanical dinosaur to fight for you,
bite something properly. You can't just bite a land raider anywhere. Come on.
My brain hurts.
That's what I'm here for.
But if we attach flamethrowers to them...
Yes, melters. Melter dinosaurs.
I know, flamethrowers is better.
Lasers on their frickin' heads.
They're scarier. It's the moral component.
No, I feel like we need flamethrowers on them, mainly because that's
I mean,
nothing, right?
the Firebird has worked out so well. Thank you very much.
Should we commission more Firebirds for this operation?
No, we shouldn't. Mostly, I think at this point the Stormbird is being phased out of general use.
No. So there are plenty left over that we can use.
Actually, yeah, they're being phased out so we can convert them into the more useful Firebirds.
I think it's mostly so they take heavy losses.
That's fine.
Right.
Not constantly. Exactly. He does it all the time.
My point is more. The point is more.
I do just want it noted as my final point. I won't bring it up again, but I was genuinely thinking of weapons for the campaign, not just being frivolous.
I know, but
quick question.
The way I look at it is this, Carl, is you're someone who thinks it. Basically, you're the guy in the pub who thought it was funny to get one bollock out, not realizing that another couple of people in the pub had already completely stripped off.
How is this relevant to
You were doing
anyone's
something
life experience?
genuinely occasionally funny, but then suddenly...
Do not get a bollock out at the pub.
No, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do or that it's funny. I'm just using it as an example.
Why are you using it as an example?
Because it's completely derailing to everything.
I have a quick aside. Can I get the 10 various coloured soul gems I nicked off the Eldar implanted into one of the shoulders, one of the pauldrons of my Terminator armour?
Can I veto that as the tech marine in charge of Terminator armour maintenance?
Uber tech heresy.
Just decoration, isn't it?
Actually,
anyway.
Not implanted into it. You can get a trophy rack and put them on that.
We now have a Librarian. Young Nicholas can openly be psychic at this point. He can hear those things.
We actually...
and probably screaming.
Yeah, there's been an ambient background screaming for years for him at this point. We actually never clarified if he was openly psychic. He just went off on a weird tangent about how many brains he could get away with eating.
No, I'm not openly psychic.
Okay.
Well, we have open psychers. You putting them in your armor is probably just going to make things so bad.
I did have the litho golem skull on one of my other polygonals of my old armor. Why can't I just put the gems in the other?
I think on is fine, in is not.
Oh, on, yeah, okay, it'd be hot glued on then, or something like that. You know, tech
Do not put hot glue on the Terminator armor. Just mount it on something and hang it by a chain if you have to.
Use a trophy rack like a normal person.
I have a trophy rack. That's where my soul dust is.
Then get another one. You have Terminator armor. I'm sure there's enough space on it.
Get a trophy rack for your trophy rack.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Terminator armor, it does mean we can't run or dodge for the rest.
Yeah, but we can parry. So, we've got that going for us, which is nice. I've got a list of everything that we do.
Parrying is allowed, you can parry. Young Nicholas.
Parry the horde.
Hey, I can parry anything I like. I've got Terminator armor.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
That's why I'm reminding you.
I just want it noted that I never said I was in my Terminator armor.
Mm-hmm. So, Omnicantus. Where we at, Madrugs? What's your strategy here?
The Grand Apothecarian Primus, the Technomat Primus, and the Librarian Primus will go down upon the world with some respective forces, taking command of laboratories and various research centres from which they can gain the knowledge of anything surrounding these things, and be in place to receive any specimens with which to experiment on to find anything that might destroy them and or lead to their homeworld, their tactics, etc., etc., etc. They're on a fact-finding mission.
So you're unlikely to encounter the Akareth on a random, heavily fortified allied world.
No. The idea is not to encounter them. It's to set up research laboratories, start running experiments on various things to find better weaponry that we could use to fight them, and also pour through all the information and sector records that would presumably be on this Forge world as a centre of learning and knowledge for anything, things that people might dismiss as old stories that we can go, this means this.
Okay.
Also, on the sector, to determine why the places were attacked. Why was that order? What can we learn?
And how do you plan on approaching the somewhat thorny, theoretically independent allies of this world that you're just beaming down onto and making demands on?
With the thing of, we are here to offer aid and succor to the subsector, we need supplies and research centres to do that.
I will remind you that the Omnicantic Protectorate is in neither the Rimwood Wraithling subsector nor the Corwood Wraithling subsector.
Would it not contain knowledge of both of them?
Oh yeah, no, it would. They're just not that fucked about the Rimwood Wraithling subsector.
I presume they'll be fucked if and when if the things slip the net and attack them directly.
I mean, that depends very much on the locals. You've met more than a few disagreeable people in your time. In fact, the last agreeable person you made, I believe you dismissed as something of a wanker. Understandably, kind of was, but still. I'm not saying that you can't make more firm scientific overtures, but I think you need to engage diplomatically first.
Okay.
Although, actually, strictly speaking, that's just you would know that you probably should. If nothing else, your primary iterator will recommend it.
Here's an idea. Who had that dagger from Venus, the power dagger thing?
Me.
And how many did we have?
I have one.
You have one. Does anyone else have another one?
I think so.
Well, if worst comes to the worst, we could always bribe them with this rare piece of archaeotech. From a lost world that died.
Don't get me wrong,
it's unique.
It is an unusual power dagger, but it's just a good quality power dagger.
I realize it's just a good quality power dagger, but equally, like, we're not asking them for a huge amount, and we're giving them defense and succor.
So explain to me your diplomatic approach then to these people, because they're not starting out as super happy with the Imperium, and your iterator will be more than happy to explain to you both that and why.
I realise they're not starting out as particularly happy with the Imperium, but equally, I'm going with the theory that they don't want to die, thus they'll help us to fight back this threat that threatens to attack the sector around them. Because you might notice, as I do, that Omnicantis, Orb, and Labash don't seem to have an agri-world. Or worlds where they could get raw materials super easily. So they might want to make sure that the sectors around them, don't die horribly to this existential threat?
There is a slight awkward silence. Zabo Glen Harris coughs. I would hate to judge the local Mechanicum institutions, but as far as I'm aware, the majority of their resources come from Orb, which is within System, and they farm most of their own agricultural products. The main victims would be colonists on Labash, who are primarily Imperials from Orbre Sulis, the Zagrani sector capital. I fear that the Omnicantic Protectorate may take a somewhat obstinate line in negotiations based on their inability to admit their own frailty.
What is the level of tech that this world possesses? Like, what level of sophistication do the STC patterns of this world can possess?
Relatively sophisticated, but comparatively low in number, as I understand it. They punch significantly above their weight, but their overall Magi population is quite low.
Would they be more receptive if we shared with them the STC designs for power armor, bolters, etc., etc.?
I don't think you just carry those. They are also in communion with Mars.
Fair.
They do have that weird little Technomat Psyker thingy which links them.
You know what we do have that they probably don't have, because the Martians don't give it out all that often? We do have Volkite weaponry that they could have.
You probably could bribe them with a significant portion of your Volkite weaponry. Don't know how popular it would make you with the Legion, but it would make you popular with the Mechanicum, definitely.
We could always just beam them a message asking if they're willing to comply and giving us some information on the sector.
The thing is, as well, Volkite weaponry is difficult to maintain and expensive to repair, so we're going to need to look into replacing a lot of it or moving it into backup armories anyway over time. So just giving it to these people who are far more likely to be very interested in it is probably our best move, especially if it makes them really like us.
Would it not piss off the Mechanicum? Would it maybe not piss off the Mechanicum in our group if we suddenly give away a large portion of our Volkite weaponry?
Magos Adjutant Manabi Verith is not likely to be super happy with it, no.
I mean, maybe we explain to him that we are just trying to further the cause of the Mechanicum in this area.
In fact, on the trip over to Omnicantis, remember he is an ultra-conservative Martian, and Omnicantis is a slightly recalcitrant Forge world. They are unhappy with their reasonably distant contact with Mars that has recently become, extremely frequent. They get demands on the monthly. This is not the once per century schedule that they're used to. On the transit over, which takes, a couple of weeks, to Omnicantis in these times of amazingly clear galaxies and very easy warp travel, in that time alone, Coatlmox has been allowed, finally, back into the Forge Shrine.
Ooh.
How about we frame it like this? The Omnicantis will receive examples of and what designs we have for Volkite weaponry in return for entering into a closer communion with Mars, whereupon they may receive further designs. Being a friend of the Second Legion, which we have a close relationship with the Mechanicum, would result in this. Basically, frame it as this: Mars is the preeminent forge world in the galaxy, merely by dint of its location to Terra and its status as the birthplace of the Mechanicum. As the Great Crusade progresses forward, naturally, more and more forge worlds will be brought into communion. Now, the strong and mighty forge worlds will be the ones who, seeing which way the wind is blowing, enter into full communion with Mars and receive all the good toys and stuff from any and all Legion explorations, whereas the recalcitrant ones don't get the good stuff and just get kind of screwed over. Now we're being nice and we're saying, look, you guys want to get in on the ground floor of this. I know you want to be alone, but communion is good. We're willing to demonstrate that by giving you the good stuff. Look, Volkite weapons, only really Mars has these, and we're willing to give you some. That should help. That should hopefully smooth things over with them and please Manabi Virith, because we're trying to.
I feel like you're couching this in something of a threat.
Bring them into communion with Mars.
That feels kind of threatening to me. That was like, do us, like, help us out here, or wither and die tech nerds who will get nothing.
It's not wither and die, it's the tides of history are a bitch. Be on the right side.
Yeah, but you're dealing with thorny independents who aren't happy with their receding independence. You're trying to argue from a logical point of view, and they're arguing from a we don't want to succumb to you point of view.
And my point back to them is, it matters not if you don't want to. The succumbing will happen through sheer inertia, whether or not you like it. The best idea is to get in on the ground floor and get enough power to maintain at least enough of your independence.
That's fine. I will say you're now translating into system. So, give me your final strategy, you and or anyone else.
Oh, does anyone else have any other ideas for this?
I think Cread and Ollie have suggested a couple at various points.
I mean, ideas, I don't really have anything I can pinch on the Cantus, but I'm starting to think that it would be nice to maybe move. I kind of want to get a bead on these mushroom people as soon as possible, really.
That's what I'm trying to do.
So I'm thinking maybe
ones with all the information.
No, I know, but I'm thinking more hands-on experience. Where any of the which of the destroyed worlds are were Mechanicus worlds?
None of them. The closest one is Ballast, which is a Mechanicum-affiliated night world.
Night world.
Technically, it's within Ibn Famari, the Rimwood Wraithling subsector, but the Omnicantic Protectorate is thoroughly confident that Ballast can defend itself.
Wasn't there some talk about us all getting night suits or something at some point?
There was some talk that you might be able to swing a Knights of Taranis night suit, which would not just mind reform you. You'd need to really suck up to the not just to the Mechanicum, to the Martian Mechanicum specifically. It's possible. You do have an ultra-conservative Martian on board. You have the chance.
Nice.
Doesn't he hate us pretty much, though?
No, Benji's really been, like, sucking up hard and well at every conceivable opportunity. He's just, like, furiously given in to every Mechanicum demand. So your previous issues with the Mechanicum have been basically completely inverted as you've stroked the shit out of Manabi Virith's ego. At the moment, you actually have quite good relations with them, because you keep giving in to them, and unlike many other people, the Mechanicum, when you give in to exactly what they want, tend to be quite predictable.
Yeah.
At least unless they see you as a threat, in which case they become less rational.
Yeah, I don't really have anything I can suggest. I think about on the Cantus right now. I think the Volkite weaponry thing's probably a good shout. I would say.
Creed, did you have a plan?
I mean, how much do we really need from them at the moment? We're just looking for more information about the sector, right?
Yeah, but I think they're the ones who've got all the information.
Yeah, but we can always just open a phone call and start by asking for it.
I mean,
we don't need like full control of the planet or anything, right?
Yeah, exactly. We can just. I agree with Creed. We can just try seeing what happens if we ask nicely.
Well, it wasn't going to be asking for the full control of the planet. It was landing and asking to use their laboratories and libraries to do.
Yeah, but they'll probably hate that idea. So I'm just saying, why not just ask them if they'll just give us some info first from orbit?
Yeah, like if our Mechanicus dude is actually on good terms with us now, we can like go through him, get him to make contact for us.
He is a Martian ultra-conservative, and if anything, they like him less than they like you.
Never mind then.
Let's see what happens if we open a channel of communication, and then we can later suggest, hey, what if we bring back some interesting, nerdery for us?
Here's what I will ask then. Who is going to be heading up your communications?
Not me.
I can head them up if Benji doesn't want to.
I'll probably do it with my fellowship of 55 and actual charm skill.
Yeah, it's not a bad shout.
I'll be a wingman and try and occasionally say tech things on the side.
As an initiated member of the cult Mechanicum, you are thoroughly able to assist him, unlike basically everyone else, including himself.
What's Nazeem's precognition, the preparation?
Preparation thing, yeah.
Augury.
Only works on intelligence rolls.
No, that's what is it? That's something else. I have a psychic power called Augury that'll do something, but it's a bit specific. I just need an item relating to the subject. I'm looking it up now. Give me 2 secs.
I felt like you're going to say it's only going to work on intelligence rolls, and I'm living for this moment.
It's you can get 3 things about said Augury.
To be fair, we don't have anything relating to them anyway. For you to
generally, both Psyker and the subject must remain in contact. So, if I was in contact with I've forgotten your name already, Benji.
Let's just ask them for the information. We don't need psychic powers.
You can.
It is best case scenario a +10. Worst case scenario, a lot less than that. So, your Grand Captain opens communication with Omnicantis. Alright, in 20 seconds or less, Benji, what are you suggesting, what are you asking, and how are you couching it?
I am asking for any and all information that they have on the history of the sector, any information they might have on the insert name of Xenos here, any samples that may have been discovered by anybody ever. Their overall levels of wanting to work with if all these are refused, their reasons why, and any and all reasons that we could possibly smooth out with them. Basically, asking for a bit of information, being nice to them, and if they say no, why they're saying no, and what we could possibly do to make it up to them.
Okay. I think I'm going to say Charm at a -40, but you have Cread assisting, so we'll bring it up to a -30.
And the Mechanicus guy on board also assist. I know he's not,
but they like him even less than they like you.
I know that, but I was maybe just wondering if there's I suppose it's more taking
he is a religious fundamentalist. He's very
that's 4 degrees of success.
Holy fuck!
Ooh, nice.
Wait, how's that 4 degrees of success on a -30?
So -30, but I have a +10 from my skill in charm. I have a +10 from my talent.
Okay, that -10.
Right.
Oh yeah, and then 43 or under.
45. I have. Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Who are you? What have you done with Benji? You're not allowed to roll low. What is this?
If anything,
sorry,
over the last couple of campaigns...
Am I not allowed to roll low? Do you remember Hillican?
You rolled 2 1s. It's not my fault you then tried to fucking Death Star a craft world with, a dozen cruisers and 50 destroyers. You were outnumbered literally hundreds of thousands to 1.
You know what? It would have worked if the damn Space Wolves hadn't quit the field.
Probably not, but they do make a convenient scapegoat.
In any case, make with the information.
4 degrees of success. Yeah, you know what? Omnicantis is pretty okay with you. They, as a magi priesthood, the lines that are being fed to you by, you know what, you were assisting Cread. How does Coatlmox bring the Omnicantian priesthood on side?
Sorry, I've got nothing at the moment. I wasn't expecting it.
It's fair. Okay. In that case, Coayah, against all odds, you and the chief magi of the Omnicantic Protectorate, 4 degrees of success, you said, right?
Yeah.
Even though you really shouldn't, just personally, there is a massive personal connection there. She is extremely put upon. She's incredibly frustrated with her incompetent and bloodthirsty subordinates who seem to spend most of their time agitating for aggression and needless side adventures for no real reason. And
sounds familiar.
She's right at the very end of her rope most of the time. Almost immediately, the two of you recognize in each other kindred spirits. People who just instinctively understand that someone else understands their suffering. And much as she's not necessarily the largest fan of the Imperium of Man, or indeed the Martian Mechanicum, with the emphasis on the red planet, she does thoroughly recognize another middle manager when she sees one. 4 degrees of success. You get 4 questions. What do you want to ask? 4 questions or requests, we'll say.
Requests. Any and all sector records pertaining to these insert name of thing here. Those things. Be they fairy tales, old wives, anything and everything, basically.
What are you hoping for out of that?
Well, again, it's one of those ones where I'll take what I can get at the moment.
Okay. So I'm not trying to be confrontational, I'm trying to tailor what information I give you so that it's relatively useful.
Okay.
Sorry.
Right. Basically. So yes, any and all information. Permission to use their laboratories for field testing of any samples we have.
Cool, that will be item number 2. Everyone else do feel free to jump.
Does anyone else have a request that you want from these people? Make it reasonable.
A request? The ability to modify our Terminator? No, I'll piss off ultra conservative.
Someone to keep dinosaurs?
I mean, I guess we've got the use of the labs, by the sounds of it, and things like that. Maybe a cohort of Skitari. I guess we already have Skitari cohorts, I suppose.
More than you had, even, honestly.
Yeah. I wonder if they have any exotic... If we can ask them if they have any sort of exotic weaponry. Have they done any research already into potential effective weaponry against the oncoming horde of mushroom people?
So I can answer that one more easily than the first question. So they note that a large number of their ships... In fact, all of their ships are extremely eclectic in nature. Essentially, they seem to be gathered from perhaps half a dozen different species. They've detected some extremely ramshackle and barely functional orc vessels amongst them. They've detected a couple of Eldari vessels. Oh, fuck you, Games Workshop. They've detected a couple of Eldar vessels, I mean. They have detected a number of minor Xenos vessels and an overwhelming majority of human vessels, including several newer Imperium of Man craft that were assigned to the defense of Bountiful and Chine.
Mm-hmm. So they haven't started working on any weaponry to figure out. Well, they haven't made any headway into figuring out the best way to defeat them. Essentially,
that's what I was going to ask.
You shoot them with guns.
A particular type of gun. Which does it work better than any
As
other?
they currently have 100% fatality rate.
They don't know. Yeah, okay. I did think that might be.
They've got no idea. They know from recordings you can kill them. The issue is killing them before they kill literally everyone.
Yeah, and have people actually gone back to the planets after they've been purged?
Oh, yeah.
These people calling together remotely.
Yeah. Most of the
Xenos don't stick around.
They do not. They leave behind a shit ton of matter. They mostly drink bone marrow. They also leave behind whatever material isn't useful. Anything that isn't fuel or whatever weapons they can easily gather. Ships they prioritize taking.
So it is just like husks. Or is it just people still full of flesh and bone? Just the bones are empty, or do they split the people
define full of flesh. It's fairly difficult to drain someone of bone marrow whilst leaving the rest of the corpse intact.
It's only because you said husks earlier, and it got me wondering, like, is it actually then husk-like, or are they just like they split people open, suck them open?
Yeah. So I know what I was going to ask as well. Sorry for asking this.
You've got one left, and I haven't done the first question yet. So.
But what was the third one? Sorry, that Ollie said. Just so I don't ask it again.
Olwal was trying to get like what weapons are most effective, and also I'm not sure quite how we got onto it, but like what type of things they're equipped with. And equipped with is a bevy of different scavenged weaponry, and what's most effective is questionable. They can definitely be killed by regular weaponry. They don't seem to demonstrate immense invulnerability, just numbers and ferocity. They've also
they just sound like pound store orcs.
Ewan's heart there breaking when you say pound store orcs.
I didn't invent these guys. This is a canon alien race.
Oh, is it? Oh, cool.
I don't put apostrophes in my alien race names.
But they do leave behind biomass, though, right?
They do. Shit tons of it.
Right. Okay, so what I was going to ask were any and all sector records of the purged systems and any other planets remaining within their subsystems, so that we can pore through it and try and ascertain what it is that might have drawn them to those worlds in particular, the order that they were attacked in, why they might go for certain targets, etc., etc.
So at least the base of that question, for the record, you already had, you just hadn't really looked into it. Let me have a look at my records. All of the 4 major worlds currently attacked, there are like unconfirmed reports and speculation about numerous other minor worlds further out. Stuff that's less important, basically. Anything with a population of under 1 million is essentially not a planet as far as the Imperium's concerned most of the time. Anywho, all of the ones currently attacked were agri-worlds. Teguantis, Chime, Volant, and Bountiful. Agri-worlds within Rimwood Wraithling. They were also all Terran class. There are a number of other equivalent worlds still within Ibn Famari. In terms of actual detailed records of Teguantis, Chime, Bountiful, and Volant, what were you hoping to find?
Obviously, do we know the order they were attacked in? Just any and all information about those worlds that have been purged.
In order, Teguantis, Chime, Volant, and Bountiful.
I'm sorry, did you say Teguantis was the first one?
It was indeed.
Curious. But I appreciate the 2D map doesn't really do 3D space justice, so curious.
It is definitely curious even to the Omnicantics. The Archmagos that you are speaking with seems simultaneously unconcerned, confident in her own system's defences, and perhaps even through her monotonous voice, just the littlest bit intrigued as to why Teguantis would be attacked first, rather than Chime or Bountiful. Both of which lay further out, and especially in the case of Bountiful, along a warp route leading out into the wilder expanses of the Rimwood Wraithling subsector.
So going to have any unmapped... I suppose that's a dumb question because it wouldn't be unmapped then, but I guess maybe have there ever been reports of, I don't know, space hulks appearing in Teguntis? Something like an unexplained warp route? Or an unknown warp route, or like just mysterious appearances of ships that just occasionally come in from like unknown directions?
Nothing especially useful, yes, to an extent. Barast, the local Imperial night world, does not have a stable warp route to any nearby planet or system.
It did have intermittent warp routes to Teguantis, Volant, Naxos, and the Mezzin system, in which lies Omnicantis, Orb, and Labash. But they were intermittent and fleeting. Here, one decade, gone the next, then maybe appearing for another century, and then gone for 1,000 years, that type of thing.
I wonder maybe then if Teguantis is maybe they were a dormant species on the homeworld. I reckon we should go to Teguantis next.
What is Barast and Hesperid like? The nearby planets that weren't affected.
Barast is a night world.
Do you mean climate-wise?
Barast is a night world, meaning it is an agri world, but has an immense amount of Mechanicum knights on it. In terms of planetary type, the nascent administratum would classify it as loosely Terran.
Hesperid?
Hesperid is a frontier world. The nascent administratum would classify it as generally, and they do love their generalizations, a steppe world. Its population is somewhere under 100 million.
Are there any commonalities in the climate of the attacked worlds?
Yes, as mentioned, in fact, Chime, Teguantis, Bountiful, and Volant are all, at least by administratum classification, which is admittedly a very broad spectrum, Terran class.
Right. Yeah, okay. So it's they might be aiming for Terran-like worlds then. So maybe they'll just
worlds share a number of commonalities, not least amongst them generally a much, much higher population.
That makes sense. Yeah, do you guys reckon we should go to Teguantis next?
What was your first question again, Benji? I don't think I actually answered you.
Basically, the first question was going to be any and all fairy tale information, any and all tales about these things. The second thing was going to be permission to use the laboratories for, dissection, if we get any samples of these things.
You may regard yourself
testing.
You may regard yourselves as having permission to use their laboratories for reasonable requests. In terms
the third
of
one was going to be any information which we already had.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything else. Does anyone else have anything they want to add to these people?
Do we have information on when the last attack was?
6 months to a year. Astropathic communiques have been somewhat sketchy. Exact records would probably be held on Fernandia, but it would take you at least another couple of weeks to get there. 6 months to a year before you arrived, essentially. So,
have there been any sightings of their ships since as well?
No, they are not generally sighted in the lead up to an invasion. They are sighted as they appear over a world shortly before that world is drained of marrow, looted, and left as a rotting husk.
And what's the next largest populated world in the system?
In the system?
In there, everywhere.
In Ibn Famari... Let me have a double check. It depends what you want. Polder and Ghoul are both agri worlds and have nothing to sniff at in terms of population. They're also both quite lightly defended. Ferdinandia has a population about an order of magnitude higher than either, but is much more heavily defended as the subsector capital. Albedur, about similarly defended to Ferdinandia, but quadrice as...
Is it a hive world?
No, it's not. It's a civilized world, so it's not filled with hives, but it does have, extremely large population centers.
Doesn't sound very civilized. Hived. Yeah,
get in the fucking sea, Ollie, I swear to God. Barast is very high population, but also has its knight contingents defending it. Hesperid, extremely low population. Naxos, middling population, and is a fortress world. And indeed, fortress system.
Was that Naxos?
Naxos, indeed. In ye olden days, Naxos was a bulwark against raiders from both the coming through the Mezzin Strait, both from the Mezzin system itself and from Zagrani, the Zagrani expanse on the other side. Nowadays, obviously, both Ibn Famari and Zagrani are sectors rather than expanses, and they do not theoretically openly war or compete with each other. So a fortress system along the stable warp route between the two is, technically speaking, less relevant, but Naxos remains heavily armed.
I have a theory, and it stems from what I was saying earlier about random warp routes opening. I wonder if there is presumably there's hundreds of worlds in this map which just haven't been discovered because there's no stable warp routes in them. They're essentially isolated planets which, aren't ever reached. Maybe there's no one on there, so you never pick up any communication anyway. It's all slower than light travel or not. So I wonder if potentially their home world did very briefly open up and it exists somewhere here or maybe here or something, and it's just never been recorded because there's never been a warp route out to it that's been recorded by anyone else. So I wonder if they essentially come from a dead world. My theory is either a previously hidden world or Tegontis, they were like a dormant species on there.
I think it's slightly pointless to speculate about their origins, or in fact their propagation methods. The main point of our thrust should be figuring out where we think they're going to attack next based on the available information. And
my thought is, what if they're already there?
Could well be.
We know
here for a month and a half or so at this point.
Well, it's more that we know they appear above worlds from astropathic communiques. So clearly there's something in the void that comes to the world.
And they must have some sort of navigation technique, which means they can aim where they're going. Otherwise, it would be more of a sweep outwards, right? I suppose. I wonder if my guess is, based on what Cread was talking about and what everyone else has been talking about, is that they're just going to go for the largest population with the least defense. And my guess that would be Albedur. It is defended, but it also has a population 4 times that of Ferdinandia, so I guess that might make the
4 times
the risk.
That of Ghoul and Polder, I think, wasn't it?
There's 4 times that.
Ferdinandia, yeah.
Oh, it was Ferdinandia.
Significantly larger than either Ghoul or Polder.
And I don't think
much more defended.
Are there any populations even denser than that in the other sector?
Yes, I need to double check the worlds, but I believe Ran and Strand's world. Also, if we're talking actual defenses, Kravask as a penal colony has a comparatively high. It's actually not that. No, it's the penal colony for the sector. In fact, not the subsector. So it's an extremely high population relative to its actual defenses. The equivalent of a Tesco values meal left on a pub table, completely unguarded.
Do we have enough smaller cruisers in our fleet to be able to picket every single one of the planets here in all the sectors?
That's what it is. The force is sufficient to kill a world seemingly without heavy losses. Then I'm not sure one cruiser will.
I'm not saying we have them. When I say picket, I mean that more just. Can we have all the planets here under observation by a single ship?
Be able to shout out,
Yeah.
Under observation, yes, but you don't have enough astropaths for that.
Okay, so do we have enough? How many astropaths do we have?
Not that many. You'd probably have a small choir aboard the main ship, and then 1 to 3 aboard some of the other cruisers. You could maybe pick up the worlds within Ibn Famari. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at destroyers that need to make a run back to the Mezin Strait. Just to speedily scooch back and answer Benji's initial question that I've been stalling for way too long on. In terms of fairy tales, they go back quite a ways. The Akareth are mentioned in the initial colonization logs for the sector expanse for both Ibn Famari and Zagrani. Their reported fierceness in battle is probably their most commonly echoed attribute. It's not that they don't take losses, they do, and the ancient records of grand last stands against their armadas are numerous and quite entertaining as reading goes. Nevertheless, last stands is the phrase for it. as most frequently, though not strictly speaking always, the Akareth have a tendency to overrun their enemies, fighting with sheer, blood-curdling ferocity. Supposedly both, in fact all of the Wraithling stars lie riddled with dead worlds, left marrowless and rotting beneath Akareth aggression.
Right, so we can infer from this that they were already present in the system when the colonists came along, and you said that they, what's the term? They were psychery by nature?
No specific mention of psychic phenomena, but nothing that, I guess, specifically rules it out either.
Something strange, though, is that presumably, I guess maybe it would have been the So the thing is, the original colonists in the area, they would have been Dark Age of Technology colonists, right? So presumably they would have had a higher power base in order to push back. We came here before, by the sounds of it, and we pushed them out.
Not necessarily. Remember, the STC system is a Dark Age of Technology thing, so that everyone's got a baseline level of technology that doesn't deviate too hard from it, and the las gun is an STC pattern. It's a bit like Star Wars in that they've got the Death Star, but they've also got Tatooine, where people live in the dirt and farm moisture. Just because we had sun crushers and giant snakes made out of metal that eat stars doesn't mean that everyone, including people on random backwater world, had the same amount of stuff.
Also, colonization lasts between like 18,000 CE and the modern era starting in like when the first campaign started, a span of like 12,000 years. Maybe you launched out with a Dark Age of Technology exploration fleet. Maybe you launched out with an Old Knight fleet.
Are there any records on that, actually, when this place got colonized first?
Mixed. The records attest anywhere between the last 2 and 8,000 years.
And they were here before, but we were able to push them out last time.
They were not encountered in the initial Quarreler suite of either expanse, but they're fairly well attested in local legends. Though there's at least some records suggesting colonization began something like 8,000 years ago, recovered STCs and other short-term historical documentation does not indicate a sector that has been, either sector in fact, that has been around nearly that long, for one reason or another.
Does anyone then object if we have a ship go out to Albada and another ship go out to Krevesk, and just keep an eye on them? Yeah, I also agree with Carl. I think that's pretty...
I think the best course of action is that we use the information detected to determine the likeliest next target.
And I think it's going to be based on the information, I think it's Albada and Krevesk. Though, can we ask the Mechanicum?
How well defended is Strand's world again? So,
let me double check my notes.
Could we ask Mechanicum maybe like to crunch the numbers for us and give us a probability rating of what they think might be based on the data we have?
You unfortunately ran out of useful questions, which means you get back 1,000,001 probability ratings from Assorted Magi. Anything between go fuck yourselves and like 2% to 120% to 89.235, like your usual Mechanicum response flurry.
I think
Strand's world is relatively, but not massively heavily defended. It is an industrial world primarily made up of salt deserts. Mostly it sends resources onwards to Harbour or Gazva.
Right. Do we have enough ships to cover Albada, Krevesk, Strand's world, and potentially Hesprid?
You gotta define cover.
Oh, with a single ship that has an astropathic wire on it that can communicate back to us and can keep an eye on the planet and bug out as soon as they detect the fleet incoming, if they detect a fleet incoming.
Sorry, what was it? Albador, Krevesk, and...
Hesperid and Strand's world. So 4 planets.
And Strand's world. Yes, you can.
you're likely to arrive at the earliest, assuming favourable warp currents, halfway through an ongoing conquest, if that's what you're into. Probably later than that, accounting for delay and such.
I mean, we can always head the main fleet, the majority of the fleet towards what we think is the likeliest target, and then have the other ships go out and just check out and see what's happening.
That's fine. It's just so, say, like, you head towards Albadur and then Kravask is where it gets hit next.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, all these planets do have astropathic wires, right?
No, not at all. Some of them do.
Some of them do. Which ones do? Out of Kravask, Albadur, Hesperiid, and Strandsworld.
Out of Kravask, Albadur, Hesperiid, and Strandsworld, and Albadur.
Okay, so maybe then we can, maybe we send out the fleet to, I don't know, half the fleet goes to Hesperiid, half the fleet goes to Kravask?
Do we know the time between sightings from Carl? Something like around 3 months, give or take a couple of months.
Even then that their warp travels faster than ours and more reliable.
Potentially, and it might well be. Alien physiology is a strange thing. Humans are not especially well adapted for staring into the alternate and wasted dimension of the Empyrean.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's your previous question, Ollie?
Oh, I'm more just thinking out loud. I think that maybe we have I forget actually what I asked. But maybe I'm thinking maybe we can send out half the fleet to Hesperiid, half the fleet to Kravask, and then have Strandsworld and Albadur just astropath over to us if they do have an issue.
Okay, well, in that case, I guess thoughts, opinions, and failing that, who's going with who?
I wonder what the sector fleet is like for this.
You are currently in Segmentum Solar. You are reinforcements. In fact, actually, you are the people who've been assigned to sort this.
Yeah, I know, but they must. I presume they have something.
What? Segmentum command. Oh, sector. Sorry, I thought you were talking about Segmentum.
Does the Omnicantus have their own fleet?
Omnicantus does have their own fleet, but they're not sending it anywhere than Omnicantus. There's a reason they're confident in their own defences.
I meant like Fernandia.
Yeah, for
sector government.
For Zagrani.
Do anything with bloody.
Not least because the Mechanicum aren't theoretically subordinate to you. Technically they're subordinate to Manabi Virith, but he's perhaps not the most
politics.
Yes, he's not the most political or politically astute personage in the fleet. Ibn Famari and Zagrani do both have sector fleets, but they're somewhat tied up with compliance at this point. They've both been compliant for like less than 20 years. What year are we in? So this is year 21 of the Great Crusade. They've been compliant for like under a decade at this point.
Utilizing our fleet and using the supplementary, admittedly low amounts that could be provided by the sector.
You're basically getting system defense fleets.
That's basically the way I would look at this is there's 3 likely targets and 1 unlikely target for these things to attack next. You've got Albadur, Ghoul, and Polder.
You think those are unlikely or likely?
No, those are the 3 likely, and then the 1 unlikely is Strandsworld. Going off the previous pattern. My suggestion would be that if we split our forces into 3, establishing garrisons on each of those worlds, and then split equally our fleets so they can patrol between them all, and it's basically. The previous worlds fell quickly and swiftly because they were just agri-worlds with basically pitiful PDFs and not huge people on them. But plenty of people, but not. They lack the defenses to fight back. 300-odd Space Marines is a lot of added firepower to that world. Not to mention our troops.
Do you reckon we could go to Barast and maybe pick up a contingent of knights?
I doubt they would want to leave their homeworld in this time of incipient threat.
Yeah, it's fine. It's worth asking. I don't know. I'm not convinced about Gaul and Polder. I think it's going to be Crevesk or I think it would be Albada, Crevesk, or Hespred. I can't.
They've largely attacked agri-worlds before now. Attacking just because it's got higher population doesn't mean they will automatically attack Albada next. Remember, Albada's right on the edge of the sector anyway. If anything, you'd have expected them to go for that first if sheer population size was there.
And remember as well, you know that it's been about 3 months between each of their first attacks, and the order of planets they attacked were fairly equidistant. And it's been 6 months to a year since they last attacked. So if they have been travelling for at least 6 months, they've covered at least twice that distance already.
That's a good point, yeah.
Assuming they haven't doubled back or encountered difficulties in the warp.
Yeah.
That wouldn't put them near Strand's world. It put them near Harbour, though.
I can draw out some cool.
Yeah, if it's been a full year, they could have got over to Harbour or Strand's world thing.
We have to come to this idea of, do we think they will continue their attack on Ibn Famar? Is that how you say it?
Ibn Famari.
Ibn Famari. Is that not? No, it's not. Right. Yeah, if we think that they're going to continue their attack on Ibn Famari, or whether or not they'll double back to Zagrani, I don't see them doubling back to Zagrani when there are worlds on the edge of defended space. Like, obviously, to push in further, they took Tiguantis, that was the first one they hit, and that's a bit. That's the one that gets me, because Chime, Bountiful, and Volant are all technically on the edge of the sector. They're agri-worlds. They're lightly defended. They're exactly what you'd expect. But Tiguantis was first, so unless that's where they originated.
Like, because one of the things I was thinking is maybe they could have just been hidden out in the void. Like, because of course the 2D map doesn't necessarily show the 3D space above and below sort of deal.
Yeah. Certainly. But why Tiguantis first?
I want to copy and paste this or something.
So the way I think we should do it is this: I think we should reinforce the 3 most northerly worlds, as I think that's where they're most likely to attack next. And then we should send a fact-finding mission, led by Librarian Primus Nazeem, and potentially yourself and Cread if he wants to go. Although making Cread miss potential glorious melee is probably not going to happen. Basically, go to Tiguantis and try and figure out why they attacked there first, and if they came from Tiguantis.
Yeah.
Whilst we set up a defensive point of reinforcing the 3 northerly worlds. Now, I might be completely wrong, and then they might turn up in the southern part of the map, which I suspect they might, but equally, there's nothing I can do about that, because this is a 10-session long campaign, and if I guess right immediately, it'll just change. There must be drama. Thus, I think we should go with the most northerly points, and I thoroughly expect to be wrong.
I mean, yeah, it looks like Ghoul. I mean, with my imperfect circle, because I can't copy-paste things, so I can't scale things after putting them in. Yeah, okay. It does also imply that Orb could be next, but I don't think they would attack that, because that's, probably very dangerous.
Orb is within, so the dotted line around the system, the mezzanine system, is to indicate that Orb, Labash, and Opticantis are all within the same system.
Oh, actually, point of feedback, just in general, I don't know if it's the same for everyone else, but it's really faded out. I can barely see the words and the dotted line.
Yeah, they're quite faded. They're not supposed to be stark.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I'm happy to go to Tiguantis and figure out where we go from there next.
I'd be wary of just going to Tiguantis.
Oh, so yeah. So we do the fleet split. We can do the fleet split or the personnel split.
Okay, so we've got the last 10 minutes or so of the session. Tell me where you're sending your forces. Tell me where you're sending your command crew. Who's going to which system? You can split the fleet.
I think it depends who wants to go on the fact-finding mission and who would be best suited to the fact-finding mission.
I mean, arguably, I'm going to be best in combat, and it sounds like they don't leave anyone behind. So, I mean, I would like to go on the fact-finding mission, but if there's going to be nothing there, then it may just be me and my Havoc squad may just be wasted there.
They don't leave people behind. They leave, like, devastation and corpses and recordings and shit behind.
I know it's fair. It's just like I'm saying, like they, for the most part, me and my squad are going to be useful if we have to fight them. I'm not going to be as useful on a fact-finding mission. So, and it sounds like if they don't leave anyone behind, if they don't leave any occupying force behind, then it doesn't necessarily matter if I'm there or not.
Yeah. I'm happy to go fact-finding. I have a chance at getting into loose tech as well.
Yeah, well, this is my point. Is I figured obviously Cread, young Nicholas, and Carl would probably be best on the fact-finding mission, whilst me and Ollie would be best at the garrison and fighting them bit.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, so in that case, who is leading the Tiguantis mission? So I can move your token there.
I mean, which of you outranks the other one?
On my own rank.
Exactly, that's the problem.
Alright, I declare this a Mechanicus mission that I'm doing.
So it was yourself and who else, sorry?
Well, I think young Nicholas should definitely go. But whether or not...
I'm going, yeah. Yep.
Alright, okay, yeah, I fully approve of Cread and young Nicholas's mission alone to assist them. That'll work out well.
I think Carl's going there as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking perfect. Yes.
The moderating influence. Cool, so that leaves two of you. But you wanted to split the fleet. What we doing?
I'll be bringing some of my tech cult as well.
I mean, I reckon the Mechanicus... Can we split the Mechanicus fleet in half, or do they always travel as one? Mechanicum, do the Mechanicum always travel as one fleet?
Yeah, Manabi Verith is loath to split his fleet.
Then I think the Mechanicum fleet stays on Tiguantis, and that makes the most sense.
I take some of my Librarian brothers.
It depends how much of our fleet the Mechanicum bit contingent makes up. If the Mechanicum contingent makes up a large portion of our fleet, we don't want to leave the biggest bit of our fleet.
It's mostly the mass conveyor and a few assorted other minor ships.
So we may be a little fucked on the resupply then, because the mass conveyor, if I remember rightly, contains a lot of our ability to just fly around.
It's definitely a major vehicle for resupply. And obviously also has your Titan Legio.
Yes, but equally we can get resupply
on Gaul
from
Polder?
the system.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe then we take the majority, not all of them, but like most of the combat-capable ships with us, leaving a few to defend the mass conveyor and the Mechanicus fleet. And the Mechanicus fleet will be able to defend itself pretty well anyway, I think.
Yeah.
And then we take the majority of the combat-capable ships with us. Did you want us to do a thing, Benji, where I'm on one planet and then you're on the other, and then we occasionally cross paths? Or we do like a rotating circle where only ever one planet is not under one of our commands at any one time?
Well, again, like I said, if you read the dossier, I have set it up so I wanted to put in, like, I'm currently Grand Captain, but I put you as number 2 in terms of the line command, and then I had, like, you get 2 helpers who help you command people for when you're busy, or you fancy taking the field. So I basically said, well, those 2 NPCs can go off and command the 3rd planet, you can do one planet, and I'll do the other.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good to me.
So what I'm hearing here then is one of you to Albadur, one of you to Ghoul, and a third group that isn't commanded by a player character to Polder?
Yes.
Yes.
I do wonder if... So, if worse comes to worse, my Havoc squad would likely be better on Albadur. I'm going to cause more damage, but that might be beneficial if it's a more civilized world. And I'm kind of thinking about how much damage output I can do if worse comes to worse. Because I may be more screwed on like large open plains, whereas your squad would likely work a lot better on just.
Oh, see, I would have said the opposite. You've got pure sidelines on the steppe world.
He's meaning in terms of environmental kills and not getting immediately slain by counterfire.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Yes, in which case maybe you should deploy to Albeda. I'll deploy which is the Terran version. Is Ghoul Terran one? The slightly more Terran one.
Let me have a look and see. Ghoul, actually neither of them are Terran, in fact, of these two. Ghoul is classified as primarily mangrove. It is a fundamentally tropical planet consisting of shallow sea... Sorry?
Which one has the high population?
Of the two, probably Ghoul over Polder. Polder is an ocean planet. Ghoul is mangrove. Obviously they have microbiomes, but those are the dominant.
Ghoul, then.
Fair. Okay, and unless anyone has any closing remarks, that probably feels like a good place to leave it to me.
I guess my closing remark is, can we... we're all in astropathic communication with each other still.
Yes, but astropathic communication is by no means instant. You will, at best, hear what was happening a few days afterwards.
That's fine. As long as we're all still able to astropathically communicate with each other. I think that's a good shout. Ooh. Guys, we did a whole plan. I don't know why I'm surprised.
As well, with that, what I would like to do is send the Iterator, our Iterator, he had a name, I can't remember what it was.
His name was Zarbo Glenn Harris.
That's the guy. I would like to send him and, say, one Marine as a bodyguard, as well as sort of slight intimidation factor, to Ferdinandia to coordinate with sector governance to make sure we have sufficient supply lines, reinforcements, etc., etc., etc.
Alright, let me make a note on the sheet.
And you said Ferdinandia does have an astropathic communication required,
It is
right?
the subsector capital, so it does indeed.
Cool.
Oh, why is that not? God damn it. Show the thing!
Does my entire Havoc squad, do all of them have Terminator suits now?
Sure, why not?
Yes. Nice. Though none of them have, I suppose, gravity weapons that are designed for their giant fuck-off hands now.
Yeah, no, so they've got a choice between standard issue combi weapons and power fists, or use their gravity weaponry, gravity and or heavy bolter weaponry at a -20.
-20, you just mount that shit on the arm.
You cannot...
It's the Terminator suit.
No, by standard, neither heavy bolter nor grav gun mounts on a Terminator suit. They require their own special mountings. Which you 100% can acquire.
This is the Heresy. We have Cataphracti armor.
It
totally has mountings.
It is the Great Crusade, not the Heresy, and it's the early Great Crusade. You've still got mass resource shortages, especially now that you're away from Sol. I'm not saying you can't do this. In fact, at the start of the session, I explicitly said you could. It's just that you can't necessarily do it immediately. You're still trying to get this shit sorted. Either to get field tweaks made, or to get stuff shipped up from the rear.
I was wondering actually if maybe can we get a start on those tweaks on the flight over to Albeda?
I think that's probably put it in the reminders, I would say. I forgot to do reminders from last campaign, incidentally, if anyone was wondering. They're mostly irrelevant, but just for the record, they were kill all Eldar, death to the pointy ears, Cread has a neat cult, Corral wants to make battle yoga more appealing to Astartes rather than just humans, which he actually did try to start on.
Yeah.
Kuzco wants to incite Astartes against Coayah, brackets, to get a higher vote share. And on that subject, reminders for next session. Does anyone have anything they want noted down?
I build field upgrades to Terminator suits to allow for earthquake cannons. Well, yeah, I think they were called earthquake cannons. I forget their name, actually.
We have split the party.
We have split the party. Pretty
Damn it.
hardcore.
I'm so mad. Multiple separate NPC groups.
Graviton cannons, sorry. I forget that I do actually have a seismic escalation detonator now. I'm pretty happy with that.
Dinosaurs with human souls.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I actually missed that part a little bit. I heard that they had the human souls, but I didn't hear how they got in there.
It was world of biomancers, and when it became clear that they were losing the invasion of their world, and that they would get butchered in their human bodies, in a panic, the remaining biomancer populace transferred their souls into the local saurian population and fled into the jungles, leaving terrified dinosaur humans to get butchered in their steads.
Wow. Do the dinosaur humans, when they reproduce, create... Because I guess that's what they're trying to find. Oh, they don't. They just create random dinosaurs.
Yeah, well, they're spiritually humans, but biologically they're just dinosaurs. Cool. Anything else, reminders-wise? E.g., what the NPCs are doing, what the Tiguantis team's goals are?
I've taken some actual notes this time, so I might be alright.
Okay.
Yeah, to share them with the rest of us, so we know.
So the rest of us are alright.
Well, my bits are my questions for this planet. Well, Carl's early question of how do they propagate, we can find any evidence of that. And did they come from the planet, we find any evidence of that. And then wing it from there.
Okay, Tiguantis is a fact-finding mission.
Yep.
Defensive forces have been arrayed on the 3 northern worlds. Our iterator is on Ferdinandia to gain his full assistance of subsector governance.
Cool. Anything else? Sounds like a no.
Oh, we've got a friend on what's his face?
No, let's be fair here. You have some level of spiritual kinship with the Archmagos in charge of the Mezzin system, partially because of how much she disdains everyone else in your fleet. You instinctively understood each other's frustration. Friend is going too far, but also implying that she'd get on with anyone else. Definitely going too far.
Fine. Possible allies to be made in the Mezzin system, but we'll see. In Dunmer, Admech.
Anything else?
We've got NPCs and Polder holding the line there.
Anything else?
They've had us. The mushroom people have had 6 months worth of travel this time. I didn't realise that, so we'll keep that as a reminder.
Fair. Anything else?
Nope.
I think that's everything.
Cool. In that case, questions. Anything you liked, anything you disliked, anything you want to see more of or less of next time?
Nothing here. Seemed pretty solid to me.
I mean, it's nice having an investigation that's not like an investigation.
Yeah, I'm doing my fucking best to make an investigation that's not cripplingly frustrating. I know we skirted with frustration a little bit this session, but I'm really trying.
It inherently is, because we can't solve the investigation. We know we can't.
Well, I mean, it's not like a mystery.
We can't solve the investigation because, well, it is a mystery. It's a mystery of where they'll attack next. We can't solve it because we know they won't go there. Kind, because that'll end. Because then we'll have to fight them, and if we fight them well, we'll win, and that'll just end the campaign in 2 seconds.
But what if they do something like attack 2 places, throw a spanner in the works? You know, there's plenty of curveballs.
Yeah, there's a lot of curveballs to be thrown here, and like you've got a cap. You've got a par of 10 systems, right? Or 10 systems, 10 worlds. So you'd need to lose, or can afford to lose, all of the Rimwood Rakeling subsector and the Mezzin system. And as long as you make it out with Zagrani's Corewood Rakeling intact, then you're Gucci. Not good.
Well, these creatures don't destroy the biosphere, so you can still resettle these worlds.
You can, but they do, like, wreck shit. A brutal planetary annihilation of the populace is not a gentle process. The worlds aren't utterly wrecked. Chime, Bountiful, Tiguantis, and Volant can all be resettled. But that's time and effort and like shit that the Imperium would prefer not to deal with, really, if they don't have to. So yes. Any other feedback? Nope. Cool. Any questions? Anything anyone was narratively unsure of in this session? Is everyone following the plot?
Yep. Okay.
I think so. Good.
And I guess on my end, we've had some interesting theories.
Yeah. You like our theories, Ian? Which one are you going to curveball
I have actually quite liked a number of the theories. I think there's been a lot of intelligent talk about like potential possibilities this time. I've been listening to them and going, oh, there's been a number of close but no cigars that I thought were very charming.
Oh, one question I didn't think to ask. Why is it they're considered mushroom-like? They've been described as like fighting with weapons and stuff, right?
Yeah, they're not like tyrannid mushrooms where, haha, mushroom people, now they must only fight with weapons, but in the same way that like you're made of meat but your gun isn't.
Sure.
Another question. How annoyed will Imperial Command be if we have to install a new sector government because that guy really pissed me off?
The guy in charge of the Gorgon subsector. So subsector rather than sector. The issue that
I might have found an image by
not inherently automatically massively pissed off. In fact, to a degree, as an Astartes Grand Captain, you theoretically have somewhat of an ability to authorize that. However, he and almost, in fact, probably all, if not failing that, almost all of the other nobles on that system, on that station and in that system, and in charge of the Corwood Raitling subsector, will be wealthy emigres from Terra, which means that you make a lot of enemies by fucking him over. Probably.
Yeah, but equally, it's one of those ones of just like, I'll remove him now and put someone else in charge because his attitude has future rebellions written all over it.
I don't know what you mean. He was super happy to help you in any way, shape, and form.
Clearly
do you not like
only thing that we should care about?
Do you not like that Richie Mc1% Rich was on your side? Did that not make you feel good about the faction you're fighting for? Anyone who doesn't have webcams turned on. Sorry?
Response to your question, I'm angrily eating a donut at
you. Yeah, anyone who doesn't have webcams on, you're missing some premier fucking miming here.
I actually can't see the Benji if he's on. Oh, I see. No, it's the UN. It's the UN.
Yeah.
I see it.
It's just me and Ollie, really. Cool. Any other questions? Nope. Fair dues. In that case, let's do some XP. Thank you, Ollie.
Apparently, in the in the Python programming rules, one of the lines for like how you should write it is there should be one and preferably only one obvious way to do it. Although that way may not be obvious at first unless you're Dutch.
What's wrong with the Dutch?
I don't know, but that's like one of the rules for programming in Python.
I can't tell if that's racist or an in-joke. Plot progress. Does anyone feel like you made any plot progression this session? And
yes.
If so, what? God.
We progressed into the system. We met key individuals. We developed a plan. We got information, and we are in the process of executing our plan.
That's fair.
Learning about the system, learning about the Xenos, starting plans.
Cool. Character development. So doing further develop their characters this session, and if so, how?
My sudden fascination. I'm going to say Kuzco's sudden fascination with weaponizing anything and everything that he can get his hands on.
I don't feel like you did much of that. Sorry, you didn't do much of that at all this session.
I didn't get to do much of it, but I tried.
That was his plan for the dinos.
I feel like, unfortunately, Coayah successfully XP blocked you there.
Oh, no, I'm saying it's a character development, not a progression development, if you get what I mean.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. I feel like I might have been in the toilet when this was happening. How does everyone else feel about it?
No, he was definitely on it, which is, again, why my follow-up point to that was Coayah goes further towards a stress-induced aneurysm.
Oh yeah, you should probably gain an insanity point for just ambient this session.
That whole thing.
Yeah. If you want to do a D5 for the Halakan campaign as well, actually, I completely forgot.
All of us?
No, not you, just Benji.
How annoyed can I be at the goddamn Space Force?
I live for Coayah going slowly off his rocker until he has to be retired, the only space marine ever to hit 100 insanity points.
Well, I'm happy to help you see your dream come to life.
Right, okay, so
I'm
what
just
was
going to
that?
pledge myself to Malal. He'll understand me.
No Malal, not in my good cornate 40k. Sorry, so what was it? Kuzco wants to weaponize the human...
Oh wow,
dino.
becomes obsessed with biological weaponry.
Okay. Kuzco becoming obsessed with biological weaponry. What was yours, Benji?
Coayah slips further towards a stress-induced aneurysm.
Anything else?
I'm not sure if it's like I say the best way to phrase it, but interdepartmental relationships. Like we've got a science crew, right, and a fighty crew.
Okay, explain for me how this is character development and for who.
Well, I mean, like I say, it's more of an overall thing, really. Like, and it's development in terms of relationships forming and like the dynamic that things are being like developed.
I can see it. To be fair, we are now splitting ourselves down clear lines of groups that work well together.
Yeah, we're leading into a new buddy arc.
We're doing the buddy cop thing.
Fuck me. It's been a long time since I've heard that name.
You said it to yourself.
Break out the fatigue rules.
No, break out the grenade rules.
Everyone take off your hats. There are snipers in my mills. I'm not sure if I want to give experience points for theoretical teams.
Being aware enough of our own characters to know who would work well together.
I don't feel like that's how you subdivided. I feel like you subdivided based on who can stand to be around who.
What? No. I literally had a lengthy discussion about I would like to go down with the science team because that would be fun in terms of what I like, but it's better for me to go to Albeda with Coayah. That was literally an entire 5-10 minute discussion.
Coayah went
the gang discovers teamwork.
Excellence of roleplay. Does anyone feel like anyone else roleplayed particularly well this session?
I feel like Benji did pretty good roleplay with...
roleplay. Quiet your meows. Sorry.
Benji's just general roleplay, I think, today was just pretty good. Don't eat the cattle.
And Cole doing his funny eyes and his tink against the armour.
Erection points.
Bend the blood point.
God damn it, don't use fucking start. Okay, where's the bloody... Oh, contact lenses don't fail me now.
One of them was slowly crossed over, just nope, stopped working. You ran out.
You joke, but you get towards the end of their daily lifespan and you just start to lose vision as everything grows more and more misty.
Yeah, I've heard of people that have fallen asleep after a night out with contacts in, and it's like they wake up practically blind.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's a really
bad.
Yeah, it's not that well. It's not necessarily that bad, but that's only if you've got temporary contact lenses and you've left them in for a night. If you've got we've known people, Benji, who've left their their long-term, month-long contact lenses in overnight and over days.
Yeah, no, that's super bad.
That's the I would like a fatal eye infection, please. Crowd. Anywho. Sorry, so excellence of roleplay. So that was Carl's eye lens shenanigans. I know I should regret giving your animated anime eye lenses. But if I'm honest, it adds so much. I'm not proud of it, but I do enjoy it.
I say being unable to use expression to convey emotion and such it is incredibly limiting. So
yeah.
Do we have anime armor eyebrows as well?
No, just anime armor eyes.
I thought we're missing a beat on that one. Come on,
mate, you've never even used your eyes, let alone your eyebrows.
I'd use the eyebrows if I had them.
Shall we move on to highlights?
Any other Excellence of Roleplay awards? Nope. Okie dokie. Cool. In that case, I make that out to be 160 experience points for session number 16. That's 30 points of plot progression, met several key-ish NPCs, got a lot of relevant Xenos information, and are currently in the process of executing an important plan, which I wrote planned for. God damn it, NPC, mouse cursor, where are you? 20 points of character development. That's Kuzco becomes obsessed with biological weaponry, and Coayah's stress elevates evermore. Plus 10 points of excellent roleplay, or excellence of roleplay. That's Carl's Islands shenanigans, and 100 points standard. And finally, it's time for everyone's favourite part of the session. It's the highlights. Does anyone what am I doing? Let's do some actual specific name callering. Benji, do you have any highlights for that session?
How to phrase it? So I want to say the heresy grows ever more incipient, but it's more like...
I think that phrase is almost perfect. I don't even know what you're referring to, but I kind of love it.
Mostly, young Nicholas, I want to eat every brain I can get my hands on. I don't care if it's a saurian being possessed by a witch. And Ollie, I'm a snort some more soulstone dust. Also, I want to mount them in my armour.
I mean, when I say mount, I literally just mean, like how I did with the thingamabox, with the lifter tiger skull head, I suppose.
You put that on a trophy rack explicitly. You were talking about embedding soul gems into your armour. Wait,
like a trophy rack? So I specifically had that thing, the head affixed to the pauldron. I remember explicitly.
You had it affixed to your trophy rack, which is on your pauldron.
My point is more the heresy is incipient.
Oh, I'm just okay. I'll put it on my trophy rack on my pauldron. Then it's fine. That's one of my gems there. They're so sparkly and pretty, and they don't scream at me at all.
They're probably going to scream more briefly after you puncture them.
Well, no, they're going to scream a hell of a lot if you put them in armor because they will possess your armor.
No, it's not.
If you implant them into your armor,
sorry,
they will possess
his armor is not psychoreactive. If anything, it's almost the opposite.
I know those things are Xenos related, right?
Yeah.
And there's a bit of text.
What was that, Ben? Sorry, Cread?
I know those things are Xenos related, right?
He does, yes.
Yeah. And there's a bit in the books that mentions tech marines are the ones who suit everyone up in this armor. And
you would totally, you would be in charge of making this modification were it to happen.
Yeah, keep your Xenos shit away from the holy armor.
Yeah, he could maybe go above your head to Manabi Virith, the Magus Adjutant for the Mechanicum generally, but who is significantly more conservative than you are.
I just want to have my trophies on display, that's all.
There is a difference between we put this on a trophy rack and I have this embedded in my arm.
I'd never heard of the trophy rack on my pauldron before today, just like how I didn't have the head mounts on it. Doesn't matter.
Any other highlights, Benji?
Yes. Carl gets chubby.
Don't follow that one, I'm afraid.
I think it was...
I was going to have it as an audible pink.
Yeah.
Gets a chubby, not gets chubby.
Well, in the name of taste, I'm going with Creed's version. Wait, no, that sounds weird, actually. Yeah, sorry, Benji's one wins out. No, you know what? Fuck both of you. Any other highlights, Benji? Carl gets enough goddamn weirdly horny screen time. Fucking Bonque Incarnate, swear to gods. Sorry, Benji.
Oh, never mind, it was another joke about the whole thing.
God damn it.
I got a grin from ear to ear, I can't lie.
The Mechanicum are ridiculously silly, a ridiculously good Dunmer. Damned isolationist weirdos.
I do, like, I was fucking trying not to shit myself laughing at you turning up and starting to just use their shit without saying hello, and Creed's radical alteration of the plan was, What if we hailed them and said hello before we start using their facilities and demanding their support? And everyone just glossed over him with elaborate plans for bribery.
Because the plan was we'd meet them on landing on the world.
But why, though?
That's not how you described it.
Directly what I said.
I think the recording will show that you're wrong. And if it isn't, it'll show that I sound dumb as fuck. Any other highlights?
No, I think that's everything.
Cool. Benji, no, that's the one who's just gone. Fuck my life. Damn you, vinegar wine. Ollie, any highlights for that session?
Yeah, well thought out planning. Party-wide.
I'm going to have to head off to bed anyway.
Catch you later.
Good night.
That's fair. See you, Benji. Any other highlights, Ollie?
The snivelling prince.
Didn't you love 1%er Mux on your side? Isn't this not the government you're fighting for?
I got a neat silver cup.
Every one of your battle brothers who dies to give people like him, who hunt other humans for sport.
They gave up their humanity when they became dinosaurs.
And or when they became psychers.
Absolutely love the seriousness and scorn with which you said that phrase, Carl. Nevertheless, every death you've had. I wonder how the local nobility are treating Galafast nowadays. Any other highlights, Ollie?
I was going to say, we must have dinosaur brains. Well, I must have the dinosaur brains.
Any other highlights?
Oh shit! What was it you said about cannibalism? You said like it's looped back. What was it you said about?
I do not remember. That was like Start Slash.
Yeah, never mind. That's my highlights. I think.
Cool. Carl, do you have any highlights for that session?
Benji meets his contemporary.
I was not expecting him to pass that roll, not gonna lie. I was expecting 100, a 90, maybe a 72. Your standard Benji rolls. A 3 was not my call. Wait a fucking... Oh no, yeah, sorry. Because he just rolled a D5 and also got a 3, but the roll before that was a D100 on a 3, and I was thinking, holy fuck, did he just roll a D5 at me and I didn't notice? Scream. No, it's fine, it's all about ball. Any other highlights?
Aggressively rolls-y.
Dungeon Dice Monsters.
Dino disaster.
I am so weirdly proud of y'all that you didn't succumb to the quagmire of let us hunt the human dinosaurs. Land before time goes grimdark. Die, Littlefoot, die. You tree star eating fuck.
And that really did get dark.
Yeah.
Well, you were the fuckers wanting to hunt them for sport and eat their brains.
Wait, Littlefoot. Which one's Littlefoot?
It's the baby Bracky.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, okay. That would have been a lot darker then.
Long neck. I would like to reiterate that I didn't want to hunt for sport. It was purely for scientifical purposes.
So you wanted to capture 2 of them. And another thing, you had this plan about capturing 2. You know what? I'm not going into it. Any other highlights, Carl?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Cool. Cread, do you have any highlights for that session?
I think all of mine might be covered, actually.
Fair. Ian Nicholas, do you have any highlights for that session?
A breeding pair.
I hate you so much.
I mean, if we could breed attack raptors, that would just be
Yeah, to be fair, I'm down for just any pair of breedable dinosaurs. They don't have to be intelligent.
Right? Just think of how you could weaponize them.
Do you have any idea how inbred your dinosaurs will get if you have a single breeding pair?
We don't care! What the ones that do headbutting? The bigger the forehead, the better!
That's easily the worst thing you've ever said in a long line of atrocious things.
Also, it's theorized that they're not a separate dinosaur species, but a baby variant of a, like...
Oh, that's just hilarious. Like, this has been a modern-day trend of like, a huge amount of dinosaur species have been abolished of late, because people have a tendency to go, oh, this is a smaller version of X dinosaur, and not just, oh, this is clearly X dinosaur at a more infantile stage. It's actually fucking hilarious. That's how the Draco Rex, named for Draco Malfoy from the Harry Potter, who was a Pachycephalosaurus, was abolished. It turned out to just be a teenage Pachycephalosaurus.
Yeah. Because scientists want their name on stuff, or to be able to name stuff.
So they put in their name, or a meme name, or a name they think is respectable, just so they can, announce that they've discovered new dinosaur rather than teenage version of existing dinosaur. I mean, I get it, right? You see how it happens, but it is also deeply funny to me. Anywho, who are we on there? Nicholas, any other highlights?
I can't just go dinosaurs, can I?
Probably not.
Mm-hmm. You don't need a brain to servitorize something, right?
Yes, you do.
That was the quote.
Oh, I see. Well, for the record, you do.
Oh. I thought it was code that you don't.
That's kind of rewire it.
The bit that you servitorize is the brain.
Is the brain, yeah.
In fact, that's why you servitorize something, because you're going for its brain. If it doesn't have a brain, there's no point servitorizing it. You're just making, like, a flesh puppet.
We might need a fourth dinosaur, then. Breeding pair, dissect, servitorize.
I'm not going anywhere near this. Any other highlights, Nicholas?
Oh, sorry, I've got an extra one to add on at the end.
I think that's it, actually.
Cool. In that case, Carl, what's your final highlight?
Breaking Benji.
Oh, you leave him alone. I don't know if he's going to be, like, super happy that he loses the election at the end of this campaign, or super annoyed that he loses the election at the end of this campaign. I look forward, ideally, to, like, really bitter but helpful Benji and really bitter but helpful young Nicholas high-fiving vigorously as, like, Ollie gets a turn at leadership and fucks it up for 3 sessions in a row before...
I wasn't gonna...
You are actually, though, this is where the turnaround would be. I think you probably fuck it up initially, but then, like, pull it back towards the end, whereas Benji tends to do well initially and then goes downhill, and young Nicholas is just a bit of a sort of zigzag roller coaster. Any final highlights?
I'm not jealous. I'm happy I can just eat brains and chill now.
Hey, baby, want to come up to my place and eat brains and chill?
I'm going to add that as my final highlight.
Cool boy.
Eat brains and chill.
I mean, if you've ever eaten brains, it is just, like, nasty.
I do not want to eat brains. I am too scared of prion disease. No, disease.
Eat a crocodile's brain, or eat a squirrel's brain.
Sheep.
Recycling. Have you ever just, like, you can crack their skulls and just scoop their brains out with your fingers?
Kind of like slurp it.
Slurp them down.
I don't want
tiny grey spaghetti.
I don't want to get mad.
Isn't it like after like a few minutes, it just has like grey mush?
Any final words for the recording?
Any final words for the recording?
It's fucking two people talking over each other, and also that was terrible, Ollie, and I'm going to cut this whole fucking section. I ban you.
It's the last one, it will just be then.